Chapter 805. Contestants. Chu Feiyong was slightly taken aback, but he immediately said, "That's right. When choosing opponents, we naturally have to see the contestants from the major galaxies to compare. Winged Clan, Goblin Clan, Heavenly Fiend Clan, Phantom Clan, Dark Demon Clan, please come to the stage. All of you hide your aura. Other than Hu Mainyong, the rest of the humans are nothing to be afraid of. If we are chosen by her, we will have a chance to advance. If we face the tyrants, Zergs and Protoss, we are dead meat. When Hu Mainyong is done choosing, if she doesn't choose us, raise your aura to the peak. This way we will have a chance to fight the elves at the end. Do you understand?" Almost at the same time, the leaders of the last 5 galaxies, including the brainless leader of the Dark Demon Clan, realized what was going on. They all sent voice transmissions to the other 9 top experts representing their respective galaxies. Everyone knew that Hu Mainyong, who won the right to be the first to choose her opponent, would definitely choose the one she felt was the weakest. Otherwise, the humans would have a slim chance of advancing. Similarly, among the top 5, the tyrants, Zergs and Protoss were basically guaranteed to be in the top 5. No one in the bottom 5 could eliminate them. It didn't matter if they chose anyone. As for the elves, who were ranked 5th, although they said they had the right to choose, they could only choose the remaining contestants from the 4 galaxies. Therefore, being the first to be chosen and the last to be left was the best situation. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The remaining 45 experts from the 5 races flew over from different directions in an instant. However, everyone suppressed some of their aura and didn't appear too fake. They gave people the feeling that they could determine the depth of their aura as long as they sensed it carefully. Although everyone knew that it was impossible for Hu Mainyong to not think of it, they could only do so to have a chance of being chosen. "Miss Hu, everyone is here. Please." Chu Feiyong of the Tyrants said directly to Hu Mainyong without even looking at the 45 people who came. Similarly, Morichis of the Zergs and Ye Fan of the Protoss only stared at Hu Mainyong. They didn't seem to care about the strength of the 45 people. This was built on the basis of absolute confidence. In fact, in their minds, only the 3 major races had the strength to contend against the celestial race. There was no difference between the other races. Hu Mainyong nodded gently. Her eyes instantly became incomparably resplendent as she swept her gaze across the cultivators of the 5 clans. At this moment, anyone who was caught in Hu Mainyong's gaze was shaken. Even the Succubus clan, who were gifted with the ability to create all kinds of illusions, were no exception at this moment. Their auras were instantly dazzled. This scene caused Chu Feiyong and the other 9 great commanders to frown slightly. Their gazes towards Hu Mainyong also became serious. The pinnacle of the 9th layer of the Red Dust Heart Sutra had easily dispelled everyone's disguise. Powerful. Even Chen Hao had to admit that Hu Mainyong had done a better job than he had expected. She was meticulous and her acting skills were superb. One must know that Chen Hao had directly asked Hu Mainyong to be the first to choose the Dark Demon race at the beginning. However, Hu Mainyong didn't do so. News was news. Only by seeing the participants for themselves could one know who was strong and who was weak. This was undoubtedly much safer. At the same time, it also let all the galaxies understand that Hu Mainyong was serious because the human race was too weak. While the other party hid their auras, Hu Mainyong used her extraordinary, domineering and absolute strength to directly dazzle the other party's auras and make them unable to hide. "The people who come out won't be replaced in the elimination round, right?" Hu Mainyong asked Chu Feiyong again after checking everyone. "Of course not. If someone is replaced, they will be eliminated directly. Miss Hu, feel free to choose." Chu Feiyong stared at Hu Mainyong with bright eyes. The more he looked at her, the more tempted he was. Although he was the number 1 expert of the Tyrants was only a nominal name. They were a mixed race, but their bloodline was the pure-blooded human race. One could imagine how great the temptation Hu Mainyong had for him was. "Then how will the order of appearance be determined in the duel?" Hu Mainyong asked. "This is very simple. The galaxies in the last 5 groups will have one person stand out first, and we will casually arrange for our contestants to appear on stage. For the second round, we will have one person stand out first, and the remaining 5 groups will casually arrange for their remaining contestants to appear on stage. We can take turns." Chu Feiyong said directly after thinking for a while. Even asking for opinions was not necessary. "That's good. Mainyong chooses." Hu Mainyong's red lips parted slightly. Her eyes swept across the leaders of the last 5 major galaxies. Back and forth it seemed to be quite difficult for her to choose. The people of the 5 major galaxies all looked nervous. They were eager to be chosen by Hu Meinyang. At this moment, there was complete silence within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Those who were close by could see, those who were far away could not see, and those who could not even sense, but they could all hear Hu Meinyang's voice. Therefore they were all waiting nervously for the result. Heavenly Fiend Clan. What? Miss Hu, thank you so much. I didn't expect you to choose us, the Heavenly Fiend Clan. Don't worry, the Heavenly Fiend Clan will be merciful. We will try our best to give your people a quick death as a token of our gratitude for giving us a chance to enter the top 5 or even the top 4. The leader of the Heavenly Fiend Clan said with a wild laugh. He really did not expect Hu Meinyang to choose them, because he had looked carefully just now. The weakest was undoubtedly the Dark Fiend Clan. Even their leader was an idiot. How good could the remaining 9 be? And yet Hu Meinyang had chosen them. This was undoubtedly a meat pie that fell from the sky. Naturally it made him excited. However, the message revealed by this meat pie also undoubtedly contained Hu Meinyang's contempt for the Heavenly Fiend Clan. It clearly told everyone that Hu Meinyang thought that the Heavenly Fiend Clan was the weakest. Therefore this guy was both excited and angry. The words he said were naturally arrogant and despotic. At this time the cultivators of the Heavenly Fiend Clan were clamoring with their leader. In addition to their excitement, they also clamored for the human race to understand the strength of the Heavenly Fiend Clan. And in the human race, other than Qin Hao and the members of Proud Heaven, including the 9 confirmed cultivators of the human race, all showed a surprised expression. They did not understand why Hu Meinyang would choose the relatively stronger Heavenly Fiend Clan. But at this time no one doubted Hu Meinyang. The prestige she had established in the human race made most people believe that Hu Meinyang must have her reasons for making such a choice. That's right. If it were me, I would also choose the Heavenly Fiend Clan and not the Dark Fiend Clan. Qin Hao thought in his heart. The Heavenly Fiend Clan has 4 weaker ones and 6 stronger ones. Hu Meinyang's choice, if her battle strategy and luck are good, she indeed has a better chance of advancing than the Dark Fiend Clan, whose strength is average. Chu Feiyong and the other experts saw clearly and understood Hu Meinyang's intentions. It's my tyrant's turn to choose. I will choose the Dark Fiend Clan, Chu Feiyong said directly. Chapter 806. In the knockout round, if they could choose the weak, they would naturally choose the weak. After all, no matter how weak they were still the top 10 experts in their respective galaxies. No one dared to say that they could defeat the other party without suffering any injuries. If they could minimize their casualties, they would naturally choose to minimize their casualties. Preserving their strength for the top 5 was the key. Immediately after, Morichis from the Zerg and Nyafan from the Protoss chose the Goblin and Phantom tribes respectively. The remaining Elves and Winged tribes formed the Winged tribe. It had to be said that these 2 tribes were the most suitable. Firstly, the leaders of the 2 tribes were evenly matched. The Elves entered the top 5 and the Winged tribe was 6th. Secondly, among the top 10 experts, although the Winged tribe and Winged tribe did not display the advantage of flying, it did not mean that they could not use it in a duel. Their speed in a small area, dodging and attacking advantages were extremely difficult to deal with. This was also the reason why the Tyrants, Zerg and Protoss did not choose the Winged tribe. Including me, I can only guarantee 2 victories. The other 2 victories depend on the opportunity. You have to send at least 3 people. Decide now, it's about to start. Hu Meinyang sent a voice transmission to Qin Hao after choosing the Heavenly Fiend tribe. No problem. Other than her, Qin Hao and the others, no one knew that Ao Tian had arrived. Even the 10 experts who decided to participate in the competition were kept in the dark. Otherwise, even if the 10 of them did not reveal it, their abnormal mentality would have revealed some clues. How could a little wind not cause waves? Once word got out, their concealment would be meaningless. In order to not surprise the human cultivators, Hu Meinyang had already announced that there were 10 warriors who were willing to sacrifice themselves for the human race. However, she did not announce their names. She only said that it was up to her to decide who would go on stage and no objections. The cultivators who had signed up and announced their names naturally did not have any objections. Who was willing to sacrifice themselves? It was only because they were forced to this point and their strength was there that they decided to fight for the glory of the human race. It's good. You just need to inform your people who will go on stage. I will arrange my people. Also, let everyone who goes on stage disguise their aura. It's best to change their appearance to confuse the public, Qin Hao said. The participants only needed to get on the stage before the battle started. Once they got on the stage, they could not be changed. This didn't mean that the 10 people who appeared in the knockout round had to appear in the top 5. The Tyrants, the Zergs, and the Protoss all had a lot of backup combat power aside from the top 10. If they changed their opponent to another galaxy, they could casually change 10 people. There would be no restrictions. I don't need you to tell me, Hu Mainyong said directly. She knew full well that Proud Heavens members had to disguise their auras and appearances, and the others had to do the same. Moreover, if nothing unexpected happened, the participants from other galaxies would also be able to disguise their auras. After all, when the time came, they would take turns to go on stage and let the other party decide who would go on stage. Now that the opponents have been chosen, I would like to invite everyone to join me in laying down restrictions on Broken Peak as a duel arena. Chi 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 chi. Along with Chu Feiyang's words, Hu Mainyong and the others didn't hesitate and directly made their moves. In an instant, terrifying energy fluctuations and endless mysterious runes rose up. The entire flattened mountain peak was simultaneously laid down by the 10 great experts with an incomparably powerful restriction. The 10 people represented the strongest of the 10 galaxies. The restrictions laid down by the 10 people were naturally able to withstand the battles of all the participants present. Miss Hu, let your people come on stage. Chu Feiyang, the host, said to Hu Mainyong with a smile after the restrictions were formed. Hiss 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 hiss. Hu Mainyong gently waved her hand, and 100 miles behind her, the 10 people who had already been prepared rose into the air in an instant. Ah! I've been suffocating, I can finally breathe. Coiling Dragon, whose body had shrunk to 1/3 of its original size, emitted a very ordinary aura under the cover of the appearance-changing ring. At best, he was ranked 7th among the 10 participants of the human race. Although he was shouting in his heart, his face carried a heroic expression of sacrifice for the human race that had been forced by Qin Hao in the past 2 days. Junior brother, you only need to win a Pyrrhic victory, otherwise you won't have a share in the future. Qin Hao looked at Coiling Dragon's pained expression and had to remind him again. It was reasonable to say that Coiling Dragon shouldn't be allowed to come on stage at all, but under this guy's bitter pleading, Qin Hao was also afraid that this guy would really suffocate, so he could only let him go on stage first. With the cover of the appearance-changing ring, as long as this guy didn't lose control, there wouldn't be a problem. Understood. I will definitely win a Pyrrhic victory. Senior Marshal brother, you can rest assured. I guarantee that I will be more miserable than you. Coiling Dragon transmitted his voice with incomparable firmness. Coiling Dragon's words made Qin Hao directly mourn for his opponent. Fuck, this was obviously a masochist who wanted to torture the abuser to death. Isn't that the brother we've met before? He's actually one of the other 10 warriors who signed up. What a good person. Looks like his strength is definitely not bad. In the crowd, Niu Air, who claimed to be Lan Feng's sworn brother, immediately exclaimed in surprise when he saw the familiar face Qin Hao had disguised himself as. His aura and appearance have all changed, so who knows who is who cares so much, he's a warrior anyway. After the battle he will naturally be exposed. These are all heroes of the human race, so even if he dies he will still be martyrs. That's right, that's right. Apart from Qin Hao and Coiling Dragon, there was also a fair and handsome youth with a serious expression. Needless to say, this was naturally Qin Shui, who possessed an extremely perverse transformation ability. Coiling Dragon had the appearance-changing ring, while Qin Hao and Qin Shui had the ability to merge with all things in the world. Moreover, they didn't have any obvious characteristics, so they were undoubtedly the easiest to conceal. This was especially true for Qin Shui, who could conceal her feminine aura and transform into a man, so who would be able to guess that it was her? However, at this moment, Qin Hao's appearance was the most ferocious because he had to forcibly suppress the battle intent and aura in his heart. What a lunatic, Hu Mainyong transmitted her voice after seeing Qin Hao enter the arena. Don't make a mistake and expose yourself. This is exciting and challenging, what do you know? Qin Hao reprimanded. I know you. Hu Mainyong raised her chin slightly. Although she didn't look in Qin Hao's direction, her proud snort and appearance made Qin Hao grit his teeth. First group, the human race's vast universe galaxy versus the heavenly demon race's demon king galaxy. Heavenly demon race, your first contestant to enter the arena. Without wasting any time while everyone was still discussing spiritedly, Zhou Xian, who was acting as the host, spoke crisply. Hu Mainyang, even if you've clearly detected our aura, it doesn't matter. Fujioka, you enter the arena. Remember, be straightforward and don't drag it out for too long. It's fine as long as the losses outweigh the gains. The leader of the heavenly demon race said with a sinister smile, his eyes flashing with a ferocity that anyone could see. Chapter 807. Don't worry, brother Fujiwara. I Fujioka will know my limits. Hik swish. The first contestant from the heavenly fiend clan, Fujioka, laughed sinisterly as he suddenly turned into a stream of light and stepped into the barrier of Broken Peak. His entire body exuded a blood-red demonic aura, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. Fujioka was the fourth strongest of the 10 contestants from the heavenly fiend clan. Fujiwara, the leader of the heavenly fiend clan, felt that it was the most reasonable reason for him to fight. Hu Mainyang would never fight Fujioka, and among the other humans at most 2 could hope to fight Fujioka. The outcome was still uncertain. This was the only way to limit the humans' performance. Whether the humans sent out a strong or weak contestant, the heavenly fiend clan would not lose much. If the weak contestant came, Fujioka would definitely win. He was ranked 4th and did not waste much resources. If the strong contestant came, as long as it was not Hu Mainyang, Fujioka's chances of winning were still very high. The heavenly fiend clan believed that Hu Mainyang would not dare to waste the opportunity. The human elites would definitely stay to deal with the weak contestants that they were certain of winning. If they made a mistake, their already slim hope might turn into despair. Even Zhou Xian and the others from the tyrants thought the same. There was no doubt that the heavenly fiend clan's decision to send out Fujioka first was a very wise one. Come. Who dares to fight me, Fujioka? Hu Mainyang, I don't mind if you come up, ha. Fujioka said arrogantly as he looked provocatively at Hu Mainyang and the others outside the barrier. Little Shui, you go. Qin Hao directly transmitted his voice. You go. Just as Qin Hao was about to transmit his voice to Hu Mainyang looked directly at Qin Shui, her eyes shining. Hu Mainyang already knew everything about Qin Shui. Although she had never met the Proud Heavens members after they arrived, she could tell that the fair-skinned youth who had changed his gender was Qin Shui. Alright. Swish. Qin Shui's valiant and slender figure immediately transformed into a ray of flowing light and stepped into the seal. The expression on her face was incomparably solemn, as if she was facing a great enemy. The aura hidden around her body also rapidly soared, seemingly gathering to the peak without holding back. She's so strong? Could she be the second or third strongest of the humans? The aura that Qin Shui released was faintly on par with Ting Gang, which was out of everyone's expectations. After all, Hu Mainyang had used the Red Dust Heart Sutra to disrupt the Sky Demon clan's concealment of aura, and everyone knew that Fujioka was an elite ranked in the middle of the Sky Demon clan. Even if true combatability was not determined by aura was the only way to judge and must be taken into consideration. However, Hu Mainyang's arrangement was clearly not the best choice in the eyes of some smart people, and carried a great risk. Once Qin Shui lost, it would mean that the human race had lost an expert against a weakling from the Heaven Devil race. But risks and benefits coexisted. If Qin Shui won, then the human race's chances of advancing would undoubtedly increase greatly. Tell me your name. I Fujioka do not kill nameless people. Fujioka's expression was still arrogant, but there was a trace of seriousness between his brows. Fujioka's question was something that everyone, including the human race, wanted to know the answer to. By Tian. Qin Shui hesitated for a moment before reporting a name. At this moment, if he didn't even report his name, it would indeed be a little unreasonable. But it definitely couldn't be too obvious. Like Qin Hao's name, which could easily be associated with Qin Ritian, it definitely couldn't be done. Bai Tian in comparison was much more reserved. Taking snow as white, taking the sky as vast. But, after Qin Shui reported it, he regretted it a little. As expected, Qin Hao's gaze became strange and excited. Oh heavens, Bai Tian? What a good name. I'm Yi. Let this Yi bring you into the endless darkness and sleep there forever. Clang. Boom. Fujioka unsheathed his sword, and the true essence around his body immediately circulated violently. Endless crimson demonic aura instantly spread out and pressed down on Qin Shui. Buzz. Qin Shui's body suddenly trembled. In an instant the space around him shook and his figure disappeared. Immediately after, an incomparably sharp sword light suddenly appeared out of thin air, containing the endless power of lightning, and attacked Fujioka. The mysteries of space and lightning fused into one? This pretty boy is a little tricky. Fujioka was shocked. He who had originally planned to use his violent strength to directly trample Qin Shui, suddenly changed his tactics at this moment and became agile. Boom. Bumble. Energy exploded, wreaking havoc. The two of them separated upon contact, but immediately after, thousands of sword lights containing magical runes flashed out. The top experts of the major galaxies are indeed powerful. Even Qin Hao secretly praised in his heart. The seemingly violent Fujioka undoubtedly had extremely exquisite combat skills and rich battle experience. Facing Qin Shui, who had fused the mysteries of space and lightning, if he continued to attack, it would obviously be unwise. It would only exhaust his energy, and in the end he would be killed by Qin Shui because he ran out of energy first. Because Qin Shui, who had comprehended the mysteries of space to such a level, was undoubtedly a character who appeared and disappeared unpredictably, and came and went like lightning. Coupled with the lightning-fast attack of Qin Shui, and Qin Shui's strength that was not weaker than his, directly trampling her was already impossible. The only way was to fight back and preserve his strength. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Boom boom boom. The figures of the two flickered in the seal, leaving behind afterimages. Sword lights danced in the sky and fiercely collided. For a moment, countless cultivators were dazzled and overwhelmed. As expected of a showdown between the top experts of the galaxy. They are already so strong. If Chu Feiyang of the tyrant race and Hu Mainyang of the human race were to fight, what would the scene be like? Countless people were horrified and secretly thought, Bai Tian, must be a low-key expert of our vast universe galaxy. He's really strong and he's not at a disadvantage at all. If he can win this battle, the chances of us appearing will be higher. Yes. The human race cultivators looked at Qin Shui's elusive figure and the powerful strength she displayed. Their emotions surged and they clenched their fists. They were even more nervous than when they went up to fight. Bai Tian, no one knew that among the 10 experts of the human race, the only girl besides Hu Mainyang, who had changed her appearance but was still the second most outstanding person of the human race, was muttering in her heart at this moment. She stared at Qin Shui, who was fighting in the seal, thoughtfully. It can't be her. Bailey Ningbing shook her head slightly and thought to herself, if she is Qin Shui, then she and Aotian must have already arrived. With his domineering and arrogant personality, how can he be low-key? He will kill all the way and blood will flow like a river. Bailey Ningbing was undoubtedly one of the people who understood Qin Hao and the women around him the most. As for the news that Qin Shui could transform into a man, let alone her, even countless cultivators of the other races knew about it. Chapter 808. In reality, most of the secrets regarding killing God Qin Hao and the members of Aotian were no longer secrets. After becoming the most dazzling existences of the human race and even the entire primal secret realm, their desire for gossip had been ignited. What could they hide? As long as it was exposed in front of others, there was nowhere to hide. When Qin Shui and Long Ting were in the aircraft, the news of Qin Shui transforming into a man had long been spread by the human race cultivators in the aircraft. Coupled with Qin Shui's obscure name and Bailey Ningbing's understanding of Qin Shui, as well as her sharp intuition as a woman, she thought of Qin Shui. However, because she knew Qin Hao's character better, she denied it. One had to say if Qin Hao did not listen to Han Mei's advice, he would most likely be like Bailey Ningbing. Even if he comes, what can I do? Bailey Ningbing's heart sank. A trace of bitterness appeared at the corner of her mouth. Since I can't forget, why should I? The words Han Mei said to her when she first met her appeared in her mind. However, Bailey Ningbing could not face it, nor did she know what to do. She was who she was. She had her pride and her persistence. She couldn't pitifully admit defeat and curry favor with him. What happened had already happened. Could never be erased. Although she had a different state of mind and understanding as well as regret and disappointment, she knew that if she could go back in time she would still walk the same path. Fortunately, he was abnormally strong. Otherwise the result would be different. Boom. Rumble. Qin Shui and Ting Gang's battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Both of them had expended a lot of energy. Whether it was spirit, qi or true yuan, they were all disconnected. However, both of them were still fighting with all their might. Suddenly they collided head-on and both of them flew backwards. Pooh. Pooh. Whether it was Qin Shui or Ting Gang at this moment, they both spat out a mouthful of blood. Their blood dyed the sky as they fell to the ground. I will never lose to you. Qin Shui's eyes were no longer bright, but they were still filled with madness and passion. The moment she landed, she charged forward again. However, her speed was much slower and her flying posture was a little shaky. It's time to send you on your way. Boom. Fujioka's pale complexion suddenly became rosy. His weak aura was like a withered tree in spring, suddenly becoming several times stronger. What? Fujioka was actually in disguise. Not good. Admit defeat. Brother Baitian, you did your best. Admit defeat, Brother Baitian. At this moment the cultivators of the human race were abnormally alarmed. Their hearts clenched for Qin Shui. At this moment even the strangers of the human race were unwilling to sacrifice a warrior who fought for the honor of the human race. Everyone could see that Qin Shui had already reached the point where she was like a lamp that had run out of oil, and the aura that the cunning Ting Gang suddenly burst out was not something that Qin Shui could contend against. Therefore many human cultivators cried out in fear. The endless darkness is your home during the day. A beam of sword light pierced through the sky. The terrifying crimson demonic power illuminated the entire broken peak. Just the chi explosion caused by the prelude made Qin Shui's figure withered like a leaf in the wind. The aura of death at this moment pervaded the hearts of countless human race cultivators. Go to hell. Roar. Fujioka's final roar and roar with all his strength poured all his essence, energy, spirit and power into this beam of sword light. Although his body had already started to fall from the void due to exhaustion, his face was brimming with the glory of a victor. His gaze was fixed on Baitian, who was about to be turned into dust by his final blow with all his strength. What? But halfway down Fujioka's expression froze. His pupils contracted and his hair stood on end. As if he had seen the most unbelievable thing, his back was ice cold and cold sweat broke out. He wanted to gather energy, but for the final blow he was already a lamp that had run out of oil. The Sky Fiend clan, the human race, and the other foreign races all let out exclamations containing different meanings almost at the same time. You're a little too early. Die. Poof. Boom. A cold voice suddenly appeared beside Fujioka. An incomparably sharp beam of sword light that contained endless thunder directly pierced through the defenseless Fujioka, turning him into a rain of blood. The dust had settled, and Qin Shui fell directly. In an instant life and death were reversed. Who would have thought? What a pity. The two's combat power was definitely evenly matched. If Fujioka had not lost his cool and broken the disguise first, the one who would have died would be Baitian. Humans, although Baitian's strength is average, his shrewdness and temperament are steadier. The elf leader suddenly flashed her extremely beautiful rainbow-colored wings as she spoke softly. Many people nodded. Fujioka thought that Qin Shui no longer had the ability to use the mysteries of space to teleport, which was why he had unreservedly used all his strength to unleash his final killing move. But he did not expect that Qin Shui was also in disguise. Her swaying figure that was staggering as she flew suddenly burst out with her hidden power at the last moment, cutting through the void and closing in on the defenseless Fujioka to unleash her final move. Baitian. 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 The human race erupted into cheers that resounded through the heavens and the earth. Countless people shouted Baitian at the top of their lungs. The low-key, unknown Baitian was destined to be imprinted in the hearts of all the human race cultivators present from this battle onwards. The Heavenly Fiend clan cultivators had ugly expressions. The ups and downs of life were really too fast. If Fujioka could have been a little later, just a little bit, they would not have lost this battle. At least they could have perished together. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. The first round Baitian of the human race wins. Miss Hu, congratulations, you've taken a step forward. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants smiled as he gazed at Hu Mainyang and announced the results of the first round. He did not shy away from congratulating her. This was more or less a slap to the Heavenly Fiend clan's face, but why would he care? Thank you, I was just lucky. His Hu Mainyang directly turned into a stream of light. After entering the seal, she released a bright energy and entered the collapsed Qin Shui's body. With a concerned expression she asked, Bai Tian, do you need Mainyang to help you heal? Crash. Hu Mainyang's words caused an uproar among countless cultivators. Their eyes were filled with envy as they looked at Bai Tian. The high and mighty Hu Mainyang was the goddess in the hearts of countless cultivators. When had she ever been so kind to a man? Helping to heal. What a great honor this was. No need. However, to everyone's surprise, Qin Shui was actually neither cold nor warm. She did not even look at Hu Mainyang and said lightly, Then Mainyang will bring you out first. Hu Mainyang smiled slightly. With a wave of her hand she released a stream of energy that wrapped around Qin Shui. Immediately she returned to the side of Qin Hao and the others. Qin Shui directly swallowed a pill, sat down cross-legged, and entered a state of recovery and healing. Miss Hu, please have one of your people enter first, Chu Feiyang said straightforwardly. Chapter 809. Hu Mainyang's gaze slowly swept over Qin Hao and the others, her brows furrowed as if she was having a hard time deciding. Miss Hu, let me do it. At this moment, a cultivator in disguise volunteered. No. Hu Mainyang's eyes abruptly flashed with a sharp glint, but it was caught by many sky demon elites and cultivators even though it was only for an instant. But, say no more. Hu Mainyang waved a hand to stop him, and then turned to another cultivator who had disguised his aura and was at the back of the 10 humans. You go. Hearing Hu Mainyang's words, the cultivator's expression dimmed slightly, and he seemed to be disappointed. However, he nodded helplessly and flew into the restriction. The ones who volunteered must be the top 3 human elites. And the ones Hu Mainyang pointed out must be the weaker ones, the sacrificial lambs. That's right. That must be it. Hu Mainyang's eyes clearly showed that she didn't hide anything from those who volunteered. They can't afford to lose, and the elites must wait for our weaker ones to go up before attacking. Pig. You were fooled by such a simple trick? You underestimate Hu Mainyang too much. Fu Yuan, the leader of the sky demons, transmitted telepathically, his eyes shining with confidence. Brother Fu, could we be wrong? I don't think she's faking it. Hu Mainyang is extraordinarily intelligent and meticulous. How could she not control her expression at this time and let you see through her? She's clearly digging a trap for us to jump into. Your so-called sacrificial lambs are the top 3 human elites. Even if he hid it well, he couldn't escape my eyes. Brother Fu is wise, impressive. We were almost fooled. Hu Mainyang is truly cunning and sinister. Brother Fu, who should we send? We can't have any more surprises. The humans are much stronger than we imagined. 9th Ji, you go. 9th Ji, the 3rd-ranked elite of the Sky Demons, was stronger than Fujioka. The Sky Demons had already lost one match and they had to win this one even if they had to waste a bit of their strength. Otherwise, their morale would fall, and that would directly affect their competitors' performance. Before Chu Feiyang could open his mouth to urge him, the 3rd expert of the Heavenly Devil clan had already released an incomparably valiant aura and stepped into the seal. 9th Ji of the Sky Devil race. Tell me your name. Jijio's voice was cold and his expression dignified. Even though he had absolute confidence in his victory, he did not underestimate this human cultivator in front of him. Human nameless. Nameless. That's right. Admitting defeat is a very shameful thing. Do you think I would stupidly announce my name? You're too strong. I admit that I'm no match for you. Great expert Chu, please announce the result. Hiss. After the human cultivator finished speaking, he flew out of the seal. Pan Long, Qin Hao and the other human contestants burst into laughter. Even Hu Mainyang revealed a warm smile. At first, the human cultivators were very disdainful when they saw one of their own admit defeat so shamelessly. However, everyone understood what was going on when they saw the expressions of Qin Hao, Hu Mainyang and the others. They all burst into laughter. It was clear that the Sky Demons had jumped into the pit that Hu Mainyang had dug. The 3rd expert of the Sky Demons, Jijio, had been wasted on the weakest human cultivator. It was truly tragic. At this moment, the face of the Sky Demons leader, Ming Yuan, had turned the color of pig liver. He could not wait to find a hole to hide in. Just a moment ago he had thought that he was smarter than others and had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. But now it had become his last name. Interesting. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrant smiled. The Sky Demons have won the second round. 1 draw. Ming Yuan, it's your turn. You go. Ming Yuan, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, immediately sent the sixth expert of the Sky Demons. Even though he had won the first round, he was so stifled that he wanted to vomit blood. In a situation where the enemy was in the dark and he was in the light, no matter how he arranged, he was restrained everywhere. He could only choose the expert in the middle to fight openly. Which one of you is confident? Hu Mainyang sent a telepathic message to Bailey Ningbing and the other expert of the human race, Gao Lan, the moment the sixth expert of the Sky Demons stepped onto the stage. Gao Lan was the first to volunteer to fight. Before Bailey Ningbing had appeared, he was the true blue second expert of the human race. He was on par with Bailey Ningbing in terms of ability, and was also someone whom both Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao believed must win. I'm 60% confident, Gao Lan replied telepathically. I'm more or less the same, 60% is a little too little. The two of you must win 2 rounds for us to have a 100% chance of winning. 100% chance of winning? Gao Lan and Bailey Ningbing were both slightly surprised at Hu Mainyang's words. Then both of them thought of the other 2 complete strangers. Even though they had all changed their appearances, the original 10 had already gotten to know each other. While others might not be able to tell them apart, they could still tell who was who. This time, only 3 of the 10 participants had changed, and one of them, Bai Tian, had already won a round. Since Hu Mainyang dared to say that the 2 of them could win 2 rounds and that the human race would have a 100% chance of winning, it meant that there were 2 other people apart from herself who would definitely win 2 rounds. Clearly, they were the remaining 2 strangers. After all, the others definitely didn't have a 100% chance of winning. Alright, you don't have to care about this round. After a brief exchange of telepathic messages, Hu Mainyang's gaze remained unchanged as she sent a telepathic message to Chen Hao, asking, which one of you is up? Coiling Dragon, you go. Chen Hao replied. Boom. What the hell? Junior brother, you'd better take it easy. Don't be violent, be gentle. Cough cough. I can't help it, I can't help it. Don't worry, senior brother, it's just 50% of my power. It won't be too flashy. I'll do my best to be a little gentler. Damn it, I'm suffocating. After receiving the news that he was allowed to fight, Coiling Dragon was extremely excited. Although he really wanted to fight with the leader of the Sky Devil race, Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang would definitely not allow it. He had to keep a low profile and hide. It was already very good that he was allowed to fight with the 6th-ranked expert. That was why his stomp could shake the mountains and earth. It was a little too violent and ferocious. That human seems to be pretty ferocious. It seems that the rumors are wrong. The human race's ability is definitely not as bad as the rumors say. Bai Tian is up against him and he probably won't be any weaker. Coiling Dragon was the first to step up, and he inadvertently made countless cultivators see him in a new light. Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang were rather helpless as well. I'm Zhao Chen. Tell me your name. You only have the right to know if you can take 500 blows from me. Come on, cut the crap. Chapter 8:10. Bang. Coiling Dragon had shrunk to 1/3 of his size. Even though he was trying his best to suppress it, it was said that a leopard never changes its spots. He was so arrogant that he almost said 5 moves, and without wasting any words he took a step forward and charged at Zhao Chen. You call that gentle? Chen Hao was truly speechless. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let this fellow fight even if he had to stifle himself to death. But it was too late to say anything now. Fortunately, he had the disguise of the Transfiguration Ring, and no one would recognize him as Coiling Dragon no matter how irascible he was. After all, Coiling Dragon's primordial beast aura could not be concealed without the Transfiguration Ring. Moreover, it was indeed gentle for Coiling Dragon. Arrogant. You want to sign up for 500 moves just because you cut me down in 100 moves? Swish. 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 Zhao Chen was enraged by Coiling Dragon's blatant disdain, and he swung his sword to meet the attack. Streaks of sword light instantly filled the air like a gentle drizzle, while Zhao Chen's figure seemed to have turned into a willow in the wind, dancing with the wind. It's actually the soft way of the sword? Everyone in the crowd, including Chen Hao, was a little surprised. It was not that the soft way of the sword was strong, but that it did not fit in with someone as irascible as Zhao Chen. Still, it had to be said that it was the best tactic to counter someone as wild as Coiling Dragon. Fortunately, Coiling Dragon's true strength was far more than what he had shown. Otherwise, even Qin Hao and Hu Meinyang would not have been able to predict who would win in this battle of strength and yang against Yin and gentleness. Bloody hell, you're acting like a woman. Fight me if you're a man. Coiling Dragon, who was about to suffer internal injuries from holding himself back, yearned for a head-on battle. He would be able to vent even if he was covered in wounds, but Zhou Xian of the Sky Demon was like cotton, rendering Coiling Dragon's ferocious attacks useless. That's the effect I want. Zhou Qian's voice was ethereal and her graceful figure was pleasing to the eyes. If it was a beautiful woman who displayed such a sword skill, it would really be a pleasure. Coiling Dragon really wanted to bring out the Ares axe and chop this guy into pieces. However, not to mention the Ares axe, even his strength would be suppressed by half. Damn it. I don't believe it. Boom. With an explosion, Coiling Dragon, who was attacking wildly, suddenly retreated. Soon after, under the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Coiling Dragon stood in the air and punched the ground. Bang. Rumble. The ferocious golden fist made the entire broken peak tremble violently. The mountains and rivers that stretched for tens of thousands of miles trembled. Is this guy crazy? Isn't this a waste of energy? Many cultivators were stunned when they saw that Pan Long did not attack his opponent, but instead bombarded the ground with violent power. This was completely irrational behavior. After all, the opponent's soft sword was impenetrable, and his defense was able to deflect the force of the attack. It was already exhausting Pan Long's power, but he was still wasting his power. It was really puzzling. But it was only for a split second, but a loud rumbling sound erupted from the broken peak. When huge rocks rose from below the Coiling Dragon, everyone's eyes widened in shock. No way. Even Qin Hao was speechless. Damn it. Stupid people have stupid methods. To think that Coiling Dragon could come up with such a stupid but absolutely effective method. This was great wisdom disguised as stupidity. Of course, seeing this scene, Qin Hao also knew that Coiling Dragon would rather hold back than continue playing with this guy from the Sky Demon race. I'll smash you to death without a dick. Pew 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 pew. Boulders after boulders danced in the air like locusts, flying toward Zhou Qian from every direction. Coiling Dragon's fighting spirit, and true yuan surged out of his body, imbuing each boulder with extremely violent energy. Borrowing all things in the world, he condensed an 8-sided cage. Meanwhile, Coiling Dragon himself turned into a streak of light and appeared in the air above Zhou Qian, stomping down. Anyone could see that Coiling Dragon had used up all his strength in this one move. He was going all out. Pester, we're down. We're down his strength. That was a straightforward and frantic blossoming in the shortest time possible. If he could defend, he would die. If he couldn't, he would live. There was no room for negotiation. The Sky Demon race's Zhou Qian did not expect Coiling Dragon to be so ferocious. He was definitely fighting with no regard for his own life, completely disregarding life and death. Against such a lunatic, there was no hope even if he wanted to continue fighting. All he could do was fight with his life on the line. Pew pew pew. The soft sword Dao suddenly disappeared. Zhou Qian madly urged his sword, unleashing 10,000 swords in an instant, each of them containing his most powerful strength. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave wins. In this life and death situation, he could not hold anything back. Rumble. A series of terrifying explosions resounded through the world. Stone fragments swirled and filled the air above Broken Peak, completely engulfing the two figures. Everything within tens of thousands of miles was silent. Everyone stared blankly at the scene, inhaling sharply. Against such a person who was willing to fight with his life on the line, all battle techniques and tactics were useless. Only the release of one's true strength was the absolute truth. It was even more vicious than the 7 wounds fist. Damn, what a talent. Qin Hao's lips curled into a smile. It had to be said that Coiling Dragon had done well. He had let everyone know that he was a true brave man who was neither weak nor strong, without revealing his greater strength. Brother Pan is mighty, so strong. Brute. In the distance, Lan Feng and Chen Ling exclaimed inwardly. They were not at all worried that Coiling Dragon would lose. His opponent was merely the 6th-ranked elite of the Sky Demons, and if Coiling Dragon unleashed his true strength, He would not even be fit to carry his shoes. How could anything happen to him? On the other hand, countless human and sky demon cultivators were staring nervously at Broken Peak, where stone fragments and dust filled the air, waiting for the result. As the dust settled, two bloody figures appeared before everyone's eyes. Coiling Dragon stood proudly, but he was trembling. One of his arms was gone and a chunk of his head seemed to have fallen off. His body was riddled with sword holes with blood gushing out. Miserable. Absolutely miserable. But, compared to his opponent, Zhou Xian of the Sky Demons was even more miserable. That was because he could not be more dead. His entire head had been reduced to minced meat, and Coiling Dragon's foot happened to be right where his head should have been. It was obvious that his head had been crushed. The junior brother is really nice to himself. Do you have to be so cruel? Chen Hao was a little stunned, and hurriedly sent a telepathic message to Hu Meinyang. Quick, save him. He won't die even if he pretends. What's the rush? Fuck, you're still pretending? Hiss. Despite her words, Hu Meinyang flew directly to Broken Peak, saying at the same time, Brother Chu, isn't the result clear? Our man is badly injured and can't heal himself. Meinyang, save him first. Alright. The third round the humans win. Now 2-1 the humans lead. Chapter 8:11. Hee senior brother, I'm miserable, right? Can you be as miserable as me? Miserable. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. No way. Senior brother, you're admitting defeat just like that? Nonsense, I'm perfectly fine here. Chen Hao, who was communicating telepathically with the returning coiled dragon, casually scratched his head, but the coiled dragon egg shattered into pieces. Congratulations, Miss Hu. Why, you humans are very different from the rumors. It's your turn to fight in the fourth round. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants said casually with a smile. The humans were indeed much stronger than the rumors said, but they were still nothing in front of the many elites of the Tyrants. Although he was surprised, he did not take it to heart. You flatter me, Brother Chu. It was just a fluke. You go, Hu Meinyang said directly as she looked at the human cultivator who had volunteered. Alright. The human cultivator immediately responded excitedly and flew directly to the arena. Seeing him enter the arena, the leader of the Sky Fiend clan Ma Yuan flushed red. Was he an elite among the 10 humans or the weakest? He was completely terrified by Hu Meinyang's cunning and unpredictable mind. What do you all think? Ma Yuan looked at the others and asked telepathically. Brother Ma, Hu Meinyang is too cunning. It's hard to tell if she's real or fake. Yes, she must have dug a hole for us just now. It's hard to tell if this person is an elite or a weakling. However, according to the news we received, Bailey Ningbing, who has an affair with Chen Hao, is very strong. That young girl must be her. There's also someone called Gao Lan who's very strong. Including Hu Meinyang, there are 3 of them. This person might be Gao Lan or he might not be. Damn it, I'm asking who's going. What's the point of saying all this? Do you think I don't know? You should decide. The cultivator who spoke stopped talking at once, but secretly cursed Ma Yuan for being an idiot. If he had not thought himself smart, he would not have wasted 9th G on the weakest human disciple. I'll go. It's safer. We won't lose much even if we lose. We must win this round. At that moment, the 5th-ranked elite of the Sky Fiend clan spoke up. Alright. Feng Yuan nodded. Up until now, the top 5 experts were only him 2nd place and 5th place. 5th place was indeed the safest. As for him and Hu Meinyang, the 2 number 1 experts, they would not act rashly. After all, as long as he did not face Hu Meinyang, it did not matter who his opponent was. He had absolute confidence that he could defeat his opponent and win. As for Hu Meinyang, she was even more inferior. If Feng Yuan dared to take the lead, she would not hesitate to attack. Of course, Hu Meinyang knew that Shi Yuan would definitely avoid her. The Sky Demons had won that battle by a considerable margin, but they were unable to kill the human cultivators. Seeing that there was no hope, the human cultivators simply chose to surrender. This person and the human clan cultivator were the 2 weakest among the 10 human clan cultivators. In fact, if one wanted to kill someone, even if it was the strongest against the weakest, it would still be very difficult. Those who could be killed were basically of equal strength. Everyone felt that they could win, which was why there would be deaths. Otherwise, as long as the opponent could not destroy the other in a single move, they would have the chance to surrender. especially since the sky demons had already revealed their true aura, which made it even harder for them to kill the human cultivators. 4 matches 2 draw. In the 5th match, the sky demons sent their 7th-ranked expert. Bailey Ningbing took the stage right away, using her formidable immortal sword will and combat talents to win the 3rd match for the human clan. By now, the human race's Hu Mainyong was destined to win this round. There was also Gao Lan, whose reputation was hidden among the last 4. She would definitely be able to capture one of the 8th, 9th, or 10th Heaven Devil race and obtain another victory. That would mean 5 victories. However, the human clan would have no advantage if there was an additional match. Furthermore, in order for the Sky Devil race to win 4 out of the remaining 5 matches, they would need the 2nd-ranked expert to go up against Gao Lan. That was simply impossible as their situation was like a lice on a monk's head. It was obvious that Gao Lan would be able to grab one of the last 2 in order of appearance. As for whether the last 2 sky demons could win against the other human cultivator, it was not so certain either. At this point, the sky demons were all stifled with gloom. If they had known that this would happen, they would have attacked powerfully from the start and perhaps have a better chance of winning 6 matches. Now, however, no matter how unwilling they were, they had to fight for 6 victories on the basis of keeping 5. In the 6th match, the sky demons had no idea what was going on, but to keep 5, their 2nd-ranked expert stepped out and won. 3 draw. In the 7th match, the sky demons sent their 8th sky demon up, but Gao Lan of the human clan seized the chance and let the human clan take the lead again, making it 4-3. In the 8th match, the human clan sent their 7th sky demon expert. The sky demon's leader stepped out without hesitation, forcing the human clan cultivator to surrender at once, or they would be insta-killed once the battle began. 4 draw. It was a stalemate. The humans were left with Hu Mainyong and Qin Hao, while the sky demons were left with the 2 rookies ranked 9th and 10th. Hu Mainyong was using a butcher's knife to kill chickens, but there was no other way. The key is to see how strong the human clan is. If they win, the human clan would advance straight away, but if they lose, they would have to fight another person and the human clan would be in danger. It's hard to say. It's rumored that the human clan is so weak, but Bai Tian and that fierce man who appeared today are quite strong. Who knows if the last one would be fierce as well. The sky demon's leader is really a pig. If not for his lousy tactical arrangements, victory would have been secured, and there's no telling if they could keep the tie now. Cultivators from various galaxies were buzzing with discussion at the moment, their gazes fixed on the 2 remaining Sky Fiend race members and Qin Hao. You go. If Hu Mainyong goes, you can just surrender, but if the last one goes, you have to win with me even if you have to risk your life. I will give you first credit for the Imperial Chalcedony share. Ming Yuan, the Sky Demon's leader, said somberly. It would be fine if they could win this time. But if they lost, it would be the end of his reign as leader. Even if no one challenged his combat ability, he would be too ashamed to continue, losing all credibility and face. Yeah. The Sky Demon's 9th Sky Demon expert grunted in response and promptly ascended Broken Peak. The Dao laws around Hu Mainyong's body surged slightly as she appeared on Broken Peak, but everyone knew what would happen next. That cultivator turned and jumped off Broken Peak. The Sky Demon's weakest was left for Qin Hao. Even Qin Hao had not expected such a result. Was Hu Mainyong too shrewd, or was the Sky Demon race too stupid? It went without saying. In short, they had steadily and unexpectedly forced the other party to be the last to appear. Chapter 8:12. At that moment, Hu Mainyong's eyes twinkled as she stared at Qin Hao with a solemn expression, saying, "Human, victory depends on you." Her acting skills were definitely at the level of a movie queen. "Miss Hu, I'll do my best. I'll fight for the glory of the human race, even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a pot of boiling oil." Qin Hao's already ferocious face now shone with a red glow that could have been excitement or flattery. His fighting spirit soared as his body trembled, and before he even stepped onto the stage he was already burning up because of Hu Mainyong's words. Not bad. The sky demons are going to have a headache this time. Look at that aura, he's going to go all out. The human race has a good chance of advancing. Hu Mainyong is truly a queen among women. One word, one look, and she's able to get people to risk their lives for her. She's also full of wisdom and tricks, and it's impossible to guard against her. She'll definitely become the new king of supremes of the human race. Disgusting. No one knew that even as Hu Mainyang stared at Qin Hao solemnly and concernedly, she was mercilessly sending a telepathic message. I can't compare to you, Mainyang. While transmitting his voice, Qin Hao turned into a streak of light and took the lead to ascend Broken Peak. He dragged out the two words, Mainyang, completely exaggerating the way Hu Mainyang addressed herself. Songlong, it's all up to you. If you win, we'll give you 10% of the imperial chalcedony that the sky demons get. I'll win. Songlong. 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 The cultivators of the sky demons were madly chanting Songlong's name at that moment. He was only the 10th ranked elite of the sky demons, but at that moment he carried all the hopes of the sky demons and became the center of attention. Songlong's blood boiled as he listened to the mountainous and oceanic cheers. Songlong must win. No matter the cost, as long as I win, I'll be the hero who turns the universe around, the pride of the sky demons. My prestige and fortune will definitely rise by leaps and bounds. Songlong tightly gripped the sword in his hand. With a rumbling sound, he rushed towards Broken Peak while shouting crazily. At first, the human cultivators looked at each other in bewilderment. They didn't even know Qin Hao's name. How could they cheer for him? However, in order not to appear weak, someone took the initiative to shout the word human, which then spread to the entire human race. A person who was ranked 10th in the Sky Devil race, a person whose name was not even exposed to the human race, had actually become the focus of attention and the most important battle between the Sky Devil race and the human race. This was truly unexpected. At this final juncture, neither of them spoke any nonsense and directly attacked. Driven by his determination to win, Songlong unleashed combat strength that exceeded his limits. Qin Hao, whose aura was not weak, was similarly frenzied and fought with his life on the line. The duo alternately encountered fatal threats time and time again, causing every sky demon and human cultivator to break out in cold sweat for their own people. It could be said to be extremely hair-raising, and even Hu Mainyang and the others who knew the situation were no exception. After all, Qin Hao was definitely not faking it. Instead, he had truly suppressed his power to the same level as his opponent, and had completely abandoned all powerful ultimate techniques to contend with his opponent with relatively ordinary combat techniques. Selflessness, new self. Watching Qin Hao's battle, Hu Mainyang thought of a realm that was inevitable in enlightenment. Selflessness did not mean forgetting oneself, but temporarily forgetting all the divine abilities, ultimate techniques and powers that one wanted to get rid of. New self, on the other hand, was to turn the desired self into one and only for the time being. Unless he left the state of selflessness, that was Qin Hao's current ability. Each is crazier than the last. Still, that's probably the only way he could suppress his essence, qi and spirit. Hu Mainyang muttered to herself. She was well aware that Qin Hao had already reached the pinnacle of earthly immortal medium stage, and if he was not careful, his essence, qi and spirit could trigger divine punishment. For Qin Hao, who wanted to hide his strength, it was indeed very dangerous. They're evenly matched and it's hard to tell who's stronger. It's really hard to tell who's going to win. Many elites thought to themselves, senior brother is still the best. If I could enter the state of selflessness, I would definitely be able to fight to my heart's content. Damn it. Coiling Dragon, who was well aware of Qin Hao's situation, could naturally guess what was going on with Qin Hao's state, and his heart was filled with envy, jealousy and hatred. The evenly matched and soul-stirring duel lasted for a full hour before reaching a dull conclusion. The reason why it was dull was because it was in the middle of a soul-stirring climax. Songlong was dead and Qin Hao had won. The human race has advanced. The words "the human race has advanced" from Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants resounded like thunder in the mind of Ming Yuan, the leader of the Sky Fiend clan. His face was frighteningly pale and his teeth were clenched, but he could only swallow them into his stomach. Amidst a sea of cheers, Hu Mainyang brought the heavily injured and almost exhausted Qin Hao back. What made people envious and jealous, but what they took for granted, was that Hu Mainyang actually personally healed Qin Hao, and her slender jade-like hand went straight to Qin Hao's back. There's something going on. Damn it, I'm much more seriously injured than senior brother, but I didn't receive such treatment. This woman's treatment of senior brother, and senior brother's treatment of this woman is both abnormal. She's just so for senior brother. Coiling Dragon muttered to himself. Qin Shui, on the other hand, glanced sideways and raised her chin. Damn it, I said no. Don't forget you're mine now. I like the state of selflessness very much. No one knew that the healing was just on the surface. Hu Meinyang wanted to take the opportunity to feel Chen Hao's state. And Chen Hao could not stop her. During this period the two had already agreed to share their insights. It's our turn. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants smiled slightly, and his faint voice suddenly traveled into everyone's ears. Dark Demon Clan, do you admit defeat or do you want to fight? If you want to fight, there's no need to waste time on the arrangements. Our tyrants will start from the 10th place and the battle should end when we reach the 5th place. Whoosh! Chu Feiyang's words directly caused an uproar among the cultivators of all races. Crazy. He clearly told them the order of appearance and said that the battle would end when they reached the 5th place. That meant that no matter how the Dark Demon Clan arranged, they only needed the weakest 6 people to win 6 rounds. You're going too far. It's true that your tyrants are strong, but my Dark Demon Clan can't win 1 round? I'd like to see how your 10th place can beat me. Boom. The leader of the Dark Demon Clan angrily rushed toward Broken Peak. Seeing this scene, Chu Feiyang's mouth curved slightly, revealing a look of looking at an idiot. He casually pointed at a cultivator of the tyrants and said, "Brother Wei, you go." What? Everyone's expression froze. Isn't this too sinister? Everyone's gaze towards Chu Feiyang changed. Chapter 8:13. Although the tyrants had also concealed their aura and changed their appearance, and the news that was spread back then was definitely not completely true, the difference wouldn't be too big. Among the top 10 experts, the only one with the surname Wei was Wei Liang, who was ranked 4th. Wei Liang had a glorious battle record and was extremely famous in the primal secret realm. Many cultivators knew about his terrifying battles. The arrogant Chu Feiyang clearly said that he would start from the 10th place, but after provoking the somewhat brainless leader of the Dark Demon race, he did not hesitate to send out the 4th master. It was really a little too sinister and cunning. Chu Feiyang, you are the leader of the tyrants. What do you mean by this? The leader of the Dark Demon race almost vomited blood. All is fair in war. When 2 armies fight, do you think I, Chu Feiyang, still have to reason with you? Ridiculous. Chu Feiyang said disdainfully. Fine. Wei Liang, so what if you are the 4th master? Come on. Let me see how strong the tyrants are. Boom. The leader of the Dark Demon race was furious and directly flipped out. Unfortunately, the leader of the Dark Demon race, who was the weakest and relatively average in strength, lost to the powerful Wei Liang even after giving it his all. The following battles were also without any suspense. Although Chu Feiyang did not fight according to the order he said, he did indeed finish 6 battles and eliminated the Dark Demon race from the competition. Then it was the insect race against the goblin race. In these 2 battles, the insect race showed no less than the tyrants and even more terrifying and bloody. All kinds of insect races' magical powers really made one's scalp tingle. They won 6 o'clock. Then the divine race against the phantom race fully demonstrated the absolute power and fierceness of the divine race. They also won 6 o'clock. The strength displayed by the 3 strongest galaxies shocked the practitioners from the other galaxies. Even Chen Hao, Hu Meinyang, Coiling Dragon and the others felt immense pressure. It would not be easy to obtain the final victory and obtain the 1st place. In fact, it would be impossible to accomplish. The tyrants, the insect race, the divine race. The 2 or 3 strongest people in each race did not even fight. They're too strong. Yes, I'm afraid our human race will stop at the 5th place. No matter which of the winged race or the elf race wins, we can only fight one of the 2 at most, but the chances of winning are almost 0. There's no other way. The advantage of the human race lies in the higher realms. For the human race to have such results in the heavenly immortal realm is already considered very good. It's a pity that Slaughter God Chen Hao and the other proud heaven members didn't come. If they did, we'd definitely be in 4th place. Maybe we'd even have a shot at the top 3. Don't mention them. This is an important matter that concerns the glory of the human race, yet they are cowards. They dropped the ball at a critical moment. This is too disappointing. Fortunately, we have Hu Meinyang to back them up. Even now, the human cultivators were still talking about Slaughter God Chen Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven. Many of them were criticizing them. Although they did not even have the right to participate, they had the right to criticize. After all, as a member of the human race, the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. This was a major event related to the glory of the human race. It was absolutely inexcusable that God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the others did not appear. In the end, it would definitely be a very intense battle. The elf race and the winged race finally began. Both sides were birdmen with wings. The elves' wings were colorful and translucent. Both men and women had pointed ears and were handsome. Their robes were decorated with extremely luxurious and beautiful decorations. There was not a speck of dust on them. Every one of them looked noble and elegant. On the other hand, the winged race had dark black wings. They had sharp hooked noses and looked ferocious like half-beastmen. The battle between the two races allowed the cultivators to see the astonishing speed changes and the elf race's terrifying use of the power of nature. In the end, the elf race won with a score of 6, which was the same as the human race. After all the elimination rounds were over, Zhou Xian of the tyrants, Morichis of the insect race, Niefan of the god race, Hu Mainyang of the human race, and the leader of the elf race, Xianxia, discussed the rules and procedures of the top 5 ranking competition. After reaching an agreement, they temporarily stopped and led their respective armies back to their encampments. All of you come to Mainyang's temporary palace. When they returned to the human race's encampment, Chen Hao, the Proud Heavens members, Bailey Ningbing, and the other 9 people who were previously determined were summoned by Hu Mainyang to the temporary palace that she condensed with her divine power. Mainyang will first explain the process and rules of the competition to you. The time is set to officially start 3 days later. There will only be 2 battles per day. 1 galaxy will have a bye. For the time being, the first battle on the first day will be between us and the elf race. The second battle will be between the tyrants and the Protoss. The insect race will have a bye. This is based on our previous ranking in the speed competition. The elf race has made it clear that they will only fight 1 battle with us. What about us? Hearing Hu Mainyang's words, everyone was not surprised by the elf race's decision and asked. Other than Chen Hao and the others generally thought that Hu Mainyang's decision was the same as the leader of the elf race. After all, the tyrants, the insect race and the Protoss were too strong. In their opinion, the human race could not compete with them at all. Moreover, it was said before that the human race was basically a battle. If they entered the top 5, they just had to admit that they were in the top 5. If they were eliminated, they naturally could not fight again. However, today the human race's performance was not much weaker than the elf race's. Perhaps they still had a glimmer of hope to win the 4th place. Mainyang wants to communicate with their experts. Naturally, it will not be the same as the elf race. Hu Mainyang smiled slightly and a fierce fighting spirit bloomed in her eyes. Even if we can't enter the top 3, Mainyang wants to let them know that the strongest combat power of the human race is stronger than them. Good. Miss Hu should do that. Yes, with Miss Hu's cultivation, you can definitely compete with Zhou Xian, Morris and Niefan. Although the human race will lose, as long as Miss Hu can win 1 battle, it will also raise the prestige of the human race. Yes, so Mainyang now needs to confirm who will fight. Mainyang thinks that those who win today's competition have the ability to fight. At least if you don't meet the top few, you still have the ability to admit defeat. This is much better than admitting defeat directly. After all, this is for the glory of the human race. If everyone except Mainyang admits defeat directly, it will be a little embarrassing. What do you think? That's how it should be. It's good. We already have 6 people now and we need 4 more. They must be the strongest among you who are good at speed. Let's try to take down the elf race first. Me. I'm a little fast. A girl's voice stood up and said first. Her appearance and figure were ordinary, but the aura that suddenly bloomed was indeed very strong. And the moment she spoke, her whole person flashed like a ghost in the spacious hall, showing a very strong ability to control her speed. Chapter 8:14. I should be able to do it too. Another girl's voice sounded. Count me in. I want to go too. Cheat. Suddenly, another 3 people released their own auras, causing the other cultivators present to widen their eyes in shock. These 4 people had obviously signed up later, but they had kept their identities a secret until now. How could they be so strong? What surprised them even more was that other than a man, there were 3 women. One had to know that in the cultivation world, no matter which galaxy it was, the ratio of experts had always been male and female and the gap was very big. But now 3 young girls with powerful auras had suddenly appeared. Very good. Hu Meinyang smiled slightly and said, "You should all be disciples of the hidden sects of our human race, right? Don't worry, if you don't want to say more, Meinyang won't ask more. The battle with the elf race in 3 days has been decided for the time being. Does anyone have any objections? The 3 young ladies and this brother are very strong. We admit that we are inferior, so of course we have no objections. Yes, this is really unexpected. Fourth, our hopes are greater," the others said one after another. Good. Everyone, please don't spread it out for the time being. Wait for us to amaze the world and take 4th place. Don't worry, Miss Hu. Aren't you doing something unnecessary? After the crowd dispersed, a breeze blew past Hu Meinyang's palace again. Qin Hao's figure appeared and stared at Hu Meinyang. As the leader of the human race, do you think it's justifiable if you don't gather them at this time? It's understandable if you don't tell others. Those who dare to come out are all people who are willing to sacrifice for the human race. It's only right to reveal a little to them. Taking care of everything and winning people's hearts. I'm really convinced. I'm the saintess of the Misty Rain House. This is my duty. How strong are the 4 of them? Since I've asked them to come out, it's naturally foolproof. We can win 6 matches even if we randomly arrange the generals of the Ministry of War. If nothing unexpected happens, we'll deliberately lose 2 rounds, Qin Hao said. The 4 people were the sisters Xia Yiyu and Du Jing. Including Qin Hao, Pan Long and Qin Shui, Ao Tian had sent out 7 people. With the addition of Hu Meinyang, there was no doubt that they would win the competition. Logically speaking, there was no need for Proud Heaven to mobilize so many people against the elves who were much weaker than the 3 most powerful planetary systems. However, today's battle against the sky demons made Hu Meinyang and Qin Hao realize that the perfect number of people was not good for hiding their strength. If there were a few more people, it would be much easier to arrange. Regardless of whether they went up first or later, the weaker side would win. After the victory was secured, they could even admit defeat when facing the stronger side. That would be much easier. As for Helian Wuzi, Tan Tai Lian and Qin Ling, these 3 characteristics were very obvious. Naturally, they would only appear when the 3 galaxies clashed. Are you really planning to activate your heavenly punishment after this duel? I need to fight, so I naturally have to wait until the battle is over. Or in battle. Wait, do you have any ideas? Of course I have my own ideas. With your current realm and combat strength, it is not a problem for you to win a battle. But if you want to fight against Chu Feiyang, Morichis, Nia Fan and Lu Qinya and other powerful people, you will not be able to suppress your aura. Unless you release all your aura, but that will trigger the heavenly punishment. When that time comes, how can I comprehend it beside you? That's not because of me. For the glory of the human race, I can't sacrifice myself to help you, can I? Don't forget that the runes of my physical body will only evolve under the heavenly punishment. Don't you want to comprehend something stronger? Don't you just need to fight? I'll satisfy you, and I guarantee that I'll trample you to death. Fuck. 3 days. Use your miniature aircraft, leave this place and go through the heavenly punishment quietly. That's enough. Hu Meinyang glared at Qin Hao and said aggressively. Damn it, you know quite a lot. Alright then, come with me. I'd like to see who will trample who. Hiss. Qin Hao and Hu Meinyang immediately disappeared from the palace. At the elven encampment. While Qin Hao and Hu Meinyang were quietly leaving the human race's encampment, the elf race's leader, Siege, and more than 30 elf race experts were still fiercely discussing the human race's situation. From Bai Tian to Qin Hao, they were discussing the strengths, weaknesses, and how to fight against any human race member that appeared today. The reason why the humans were able to defeat the Sky Devil race was not only due to Hu Meinyang's strategic arrangements, which allowed the top experts of the Sky Devil race to be wasted on the weakest cultivators of the human race. The humans were indeed much stronger than the rumors said. Otherwise, they would not have been able to obtain the final victory. That left the elves with no choice but to take it seriously. This was their final showdown, and they would be 4th if they won, 5th if they lost. They had already given up on the chance to fight the 3 most powerful galaxies. Although the human race did not directly say that they had given up, Hu Meinyang had made it clear that she wanted to fight the elites of the 3 races. In their view, the human race had no hope of competing against the 3 most powerful galaxies. Therefore, they had no qualms about sending their strongest forces to fight with all they had. Bai Tian's strength isn't bad, but he's not strong. However, he's calm, determined, and has rich battle experience. Most importantly, he can combine the space and lightning mysteries, which poses a great threat to our elf clan's innate speed. We must have an absolute advantage in speed and power if we want to beat him, or it would be a tough fight and a battle of attrition. You'll be the one to deal with him. Are you confident? Brother Siege, it's not a problem as long as it's arranged for me to fight him. I'm confident that I can suppress him in every aspect, be it in speed, attack, or defense. Even if it's a battle of attrition, I'll win in the end. Can, the 5th-ranked elite of the elves, said confidently. He had clearly seen Bai Tian's fight against the Sky Demon elites, and the power he had displayed was Bai Tian's strongest. He was completely confident that he could win. We can only do our best. I've already locked onto the origin aura of anyone they've exposed, and I believe they won't hide anything. As long as he steps out first, you'll naturally be the one to fight him. It all depends on the arrangements made on the spot, and we can only do our best when the time comes. If there's no other way, we'll arrange for you to fight him first, and what kind of opponent you meet. That'll depend on luck. There's no way to play tactics or combat skills against that ferocious fellow. We can only suppress him with absolute power and defeat him in a head-on clash. Should I do it? The 2nd-ranked elite of the elves volunteered. Chapter 8:15. Bailey Ningbing, I'll do it. Gaolon, count me in. Leave the last guy to me. The 3rd, 4th, and 6th elites of the elf race said one after another. All right. I'll adjust when the time comes. After all, it's not up to us to decide who's going up against whom. We can only do this for now. Everyone has analyzed the situation very thoroughly. No matter what the humans do, our chances of winning are higher than theirs. The only thing I'm worried about is that the humans have hidden elites who haven't appeared yet. So, everyone, use these 3 days to adjust yourselves to peak condition. We must win. Yes. The elf race was a race that loved nature. Under normal circumstances, they stood aloof from worldly affairs. Among the top 10 galaxies, they were the only one that had the least conflicts with the other major races. However, when it came to a battle that involved the honor of the elf race, the proud elves would never back down. The same thing was happening in the Tyrants and Protoss bases. They decided on the lineup list, analyzed the situation of the opposing cultivators, and tentatively decided on who to choose as their opponent. Even the Zergs who had a bye on the first day were not idle. The top 5 ranking competition was a round-robin competition. No matter what, any 2 galaxies would have to fight each other. It was just a matter of order. Compared to true strength, all tactical arrangements were secondary. Going up early was nothing more than exposing a little of their strength. As long as they were strong enough, so what if they were exposed completely? So, although the Zergs had a bye, they still had to treat it seriously. Relatively speaking, the humans were the most casual. Hu Mainyang only said a few words, and after confirming the candidates, they went their separate ways. It was not that Hu Mainyang did not take it seriously, but the situation of the Proud Heavens members was special. She seemed to be the leader, but among the participants, other than Gao Lan and Bailey Ningbing, who would treat her as the leader. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, Hu Mainyang trusted Qin Hao and the Proud Heavens members. She believed that Qin Hao knew what to do and she did not have to interfere. She knew very well that the hatred of the Proud Heavens members for her could not be eliminated in a short time. In the void, a stream of light that completely concealed its aura, so that even heavenly immortal elites could not detect it, shuttled back and forth at a terrifying speed. Your aircraft has developed intelligence? Although Hu Mainyang was certain that Qin Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven all had their own miniature aircraft, she was still shocked when she actually stepped into Qin Hao's aircraft. Small Wisdom No. 1's voice was full of emotions. If it wasn't an artifact spirit with intelligence, then what was it? It wouldn't be strange if it was a powerful legacy artifact, but this was an aircraft. Under normal circumstances, there were very few artifact spirits in aircraft, let alone artifact spirits with sentience. They were all controlled by humans. However, Qin Hao's aircraft completely followed Qin Hao's orders. It automatically analyzed and operated. What Qin Hao needed to do was to provide sufficient energy. Rouge Horse, my name is Xiaoji. Qin Hao did not pay attention to Hu Mainyang, but Little Wisdom No. 1 imitated a realistic light and shadow energy body. It raised its small face and stared at Hu Mainyang, who was half a body taller than it. What did you call me? Hu Mainyang's eyes widened as she stared at the image that suddenly appeared. She was angry and shocked. Angry was of course what Xiaoji called her. Needless to say, Qin Hao was deliberately teasing her. What surprised her was that the energy and the way this little brat was formed was completely beyond her understanding. It was not formed by the energy of spiritual sense, but it did have intelligence. This was a little too strange. Crash. Rouge horse Hu Mainyang. Beep beep beep. In an instant, a curtain of light enveloped the entire aircraft, with Hu Mainyang at the center. If not for the fact that Hu Mainyang did not feel any danger, she would have attacked directly. But immediately, the voice of Xiaoji #1, as well as the image characters, data, and other complicated deduction symbols that appeared out of thin air in front of her eyes, made Hu Mainyang's attractive cherry lips form an O shape. Qin Hao, you bastard, what are you doing? Do you think I won't destroy it? Huh? You also have moments of fear? Then you're really strong. Don't be afraid, I can't eat you. I'm just analyzing your data. Boom. Stop immediately or I'll attack directly. Although Hu Mainyang did not understand what Qin Hao was doing to her with this strange aircraft that was completely beyond her understanding, she knew that it was not something good. Therefore she violently summoned her energy, and the Tao laws around her surged as she warned him. Master Rouge Horse is really unruly. Its energy is beyond what Xiaoji can bear. Please give me instructions. Take it, this is a crazy woman. We can't lower ourselves to her level. Yes. Hu Mainyang took a deep breath, then another and another. Only then did she calm down the impulse to immediately ravage Qin Hao. But her face was still flushed with anger and her chest heaved. No matter when, she had always been firmly on top of Qin Hao, but for the first time she completely lost control. It was not that Qin Hao was stronger than her, but that the miniature aircraft had shocked her so much that she had lost her composure. This also gave her a deeper understanding of Qin Hao. She even suspected that when she had forced Qin Hao to be captured and dual cultivated with him for decades, Qin Hao had done it on purpose. Although she did not want to admit it, this feeling made her feel a little frustrated. However, she did not know that Qin Hao did not have his aircraft with him at that time, and that bastard old god had deliberately dropped the ball. Ha! Seeing Hu Mainyang like this, Qin Hao was in a good mood. You'll cry. Wait and see how I deal with you later. Hu Mainyang said angrily. I'll wait and see. Tell me, who the hell are you? This aircraft has never appeared in the 10 major galaxies, let alone the vast universe galaxy. Almost every member of Proud Heaven has one, right? Don't tell me you're just a native of a barren planet like the Boundless Planet. Why should I tell you? You don't have to tell me. I don't mind telling the world what I saw today and let the knowledgeable people analyze it. After stepping out of the primitive secret realm, perhaps the leaders of the major galaxies will be very curious? Hu Mainyang stared fiercely at Qin Hao, puffed out her chest and said in a threatening manner. Fuck. Qin Hao's smug expression suddenly turned red. Damn it, will a woman like you die if you don't be vicious? If Hu Mainyang really told the world this news, even if Qin Hao was the supreme of Hongmeng, he would still become the prey in the eyes of countless powerful people. Is this your first day knowing me? I've always been like this. Hu Mainyang did not care at all. Don't think that I'm just trying to scare you. Our friendship has not reached that stage yet. Chapter 8:16. Qin Hao, who was about to say something, almost vomited blood when he heard Hu Mainyang's last sentence. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Hu Mainyang's words hit the nail on the head and hit Qin Hao right where it hurt. From Qin Hao's point of view, although the two of them had known each other from the very beginning and had been fighting each other to the point where they were now using each other to their advantage, they still knew each other well. Otherwise, Qin Hao would not have brought Hu Mainyang into his aircraft. Even if he did, he would not have exposed the ability of Xiaoji #1. But he did not expect that the curious Hu Mainyang would threaten him with this. If I had known, I would not have brought you in. Next time, remember not to trust me so much. I can't bear it. Speak. Hu Mainyang raised her chin. Mainyang. Unable to restrain his anger, Qin Hao stared at Hu Mainyang for a full 2 minutes before he suddenly shook his head. His expression changed and he said in a very gentle voice, Actually, ever since Hu Mainyang frowned slightly, but then the corners of her mouth curled up. She interrupted Qin Hao and said, You know how to disgust people? Jinhao, the god of killing. You don't live up to your name. Should I say that since the first time I saw you, you fell in love with me and couldn't help yourself? Wait a minute, Yunyun. I'm sorry, your tricks might work on a naive, retarded little girl, but they don't work on me. Hu Meinyang's expression and words were normal. But after she finished speaking, she suddenly thought of something and her heart skipped a beat. He obviously had this crazy aircraft, but he deliberately didn't run away. Could it be? Even if it's true, I can't admit defeat. Besides, he's obviously teasing me now. Damn it. Jinhao cursed under his breath. His expression returned to normal and he said, if you want to know, you can be my soul slave or my woman. Which one do you choose? I welcome the first one very much, but the second one I'll reluctantly accept. Bah. Why should I agree to your conditions? Then do as you wish. You want to know? No way. So what if I announce it to the world? Do you really think I'm afraid? You've already told me. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. Are you crazy? You are the one who is sick. I was just trying to trick you, but your reaction was so intense. Obviously, you are not a native of planet Wuji but from another space civilization. Am I right? Hu Meinyang's expression changed faster than flipping the pages of a book. At this moment she was smiling sweetly as she looked at Jinhao proudly. Jinhao was speechless. 200 years had passed, but Jinhao was still being plagued by Hu Meinyang. It was not that Jinhao was weak in this aspect, but compared to Hu Meinyang, this woman's control of his character was a whole street behind. Otherwise, she would not have been able to grasp the rhythm of his pulse time and time again. She did not let Jinhao's dislike of her exceed the limit, nor let Jinhao despise her existence. 4 hours later, the distance between the aircraft and the Emperor Chalcedony area had reached a barren area that peak heavenly immortal experts could not reach in 2 days. Jinhao and Hu Meinyang stepped out of the aircraft. Are you ready? I won't show you any mercy. Thousands of feet away, Dao laws surged around Hu Meinyang's body. It was as if a banished immortal had descended. Her graceful and exquisite body was suffused with rays of 7-colored light. Her long skirt and beautiful hair fluttered in the wind. Bring it on. Boom. Jinhao also released an extremely powerful aura. His black hair danced wildly and a surging power surged out like a mountain and a sea. At this moment his essence, chi and spirit were completely raised to the limit of not triggering the heavenly punishment, which was the limit of what he could use. If he used a little more, the heavenly punishment would be triggered. The fierce and wild physical body and the pure, condensed and majestic aura of slaughter were like the arrival of the god of death. The power of a mid-stage heavenly immortal is already so strong? Hu Meinyang's eyes narrowed slightly. If you had advanced to the late-stage heavenly immortal realm, you might be able to contend with me at the peak of the late-stage heavenly immortal realm. But now you're still not strong enough. Come on, let me see how strong you are. As Hu Meinyang spoke, her slender jade-like hands suddenly flashed with a series of afterimages. At an extremely terrifying speed, they condensed into a series of superimposed runes that cut through the void and enveloped Jinhao. At this moment, endless Dao laws surged between heaven and earth, instantly sucking the energy of heaven and earth within a radius of tens of thousands of miles and fusing it into her hand seal. A terrifying air explosion and heaven and earth shook violently and violently spread out. It made Jinhao feel as if he had fallen into a bottomless quagmire. His body stiffened. Break. The fist radiance was like a dazzling star as it whistled out. At the same time, Jinhao's figure suddenly flashed and tore apart Hu Meinyang's terrifying energy pressure like a gust of wind breaking through the waves. Rumble. The hand seal and fist shadows collided, and the sound was like thunder from the ninth heaven resounding through the void. The first collision had caused the mountains and the earth to shake. Not to mention the ordinary cultivators in the primitive secret realm. Even experts like Chu Feiyang Morris and Yefan would be surprised if they saw this. This was definitely a peak confrontation. After Jinhao and Hu Meinyang's first collision, their figures did not retreat but instead advanced. One was more violent than the other, and the palm shadows and fist shadows filled the sky. Within a radius of thousands of miles, there was a continuous sound of explosions. Wherever the two of them passed, the surrounding mountains collapsed one after another, and it was a scene of devastation. This little power is not enough. Don't hide it. Today I will beat you until your skin is split open and your flesh is torn apart and your butt is blooming. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, the 7 ancient sacred swords abruptly appeared on both sides of Qin Hao's body, above his head and below his feet, forming the 7-star sword formation. Thump. With a light shout, Qin Hao's fist turned into the 7-star sword finger and pointed out in the air. Chi 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 chi. 7 or 8 ancient divine swords instantly tore through the void and maintained a fixed formation as they shot towards Hu Meinyang. What made Hu Meinyang slightly surprised was that Qin Hao's sword formation, which contained mysterious runes, was already terrifying enough. However, it actually contained several types of sword chi. Massacre sword chi as the tip: if gods block it, kill gods. If demons block it, slay demons. Immortal sword chi as the handle: immortal, indestructible, indestructible. Ethereal sword chi as the form, instantly changing thousands of times, leaving no trace. Destructive sword chi as the will: wherever the will reached, everything would collapse. Mountains and rivers sword chi as the foundation: beautiful mountains and rivers, only I am. Soft sword chi as the shield, airtight and invulnerable. Heartless sword chi as the heart, severing the heavens and earth, severing emotions only to kill. 7 sword daos, 7 treasured swords, connected by the 7-star sword formation. Even though Qin Hao still hadn't completely merged them into one, and there were still various loopholes and flaws in the 7 swords and 7 daos, it was still one of the stronger ultimate moves in his 200 years of comprehension. What a madman! Hu Meinyang was shocked. Even with her peerless talent, she had never tried such an abnormal combination. How was it possible to merge 7 types of sword paths into one? Chapter 8:17. However, Qin Hao had managed to do it. Although it was far-fetched and bluntly superimposed together, he had indeed done it. Although Hu Meinyang did not know the secular sword principle, she knew that this was equivalent to integrating 7 emotions into the secular heart sutra at the same time. No matter what, she could not do it, nor was she willing to try it now. Even if she wanted to try it, she would have to cultivate the secular heart sutra to the highest level and reach the supreme realm of Hongmeng. It seems that you've gone crazy from wanting to ravage me. You forced me to do this. Buzz. As the word 10,000 left her mouth, the surging Dao Law around Hu Meinyang instantly bloomed with an incomparably bright light, like the scorching sun in the sky. At the same time, she retreated rapidly, making Qin Hao's 7-star sword temporarily unable to touch her to buy herself some time. Dao. As the word Dao left her mouth, the Dao Law around Hu Meinyang began to spin wildly. At this moment, the endless Dao Law between heaven and earth seemed to materialize and converged on Hu Meinyang's body at an astonishing speed. The moment the word Dao ended, Hu Meinyang's figure had completely disappeared. Her entire body was like a scorching sun condensed from Dao Law. An ordinary person would be blinded by a single glance. Kill. As the word kill left her mouth, the scorching sun suddenly exploded like spring thunder. Rumble. Rumble. The 10,000 Dao kill and the 7-star sword collided, shattering mountains and rivers and collapsing heaven and earth. Puff. Qin Hao spat out blood and flew backward. Hu Meinyang felt a sweetness in her throat and forcibly controlled her blood essence. But her qi and blood were churning and her meridians were cracking. Fuck. With 2 bangs, the 2 fell to the ground. Qin Hao spat out blood and cursed angrily, while Hu Meinyang snorted coldly. You're courting death. If I hadn't held back a bit of my strength, you would have been destroyed by now. Hu Meinyang could not help but say angrily. You think you're in the right to break my ultimate technique with absolute strength? You call that a battle to my heart's content? Damn it. Qin Hao felt his meridians cracking inch by inch and was so angry that his teeth itched. You used this kind of ultimate technique that only a madman would practice and you're blaming me? You're biting off more than you can chew. You're simply pulling up seedlings to help them grow and forcefully defy the heavens. Don't be a frog in a well. Since I've done it, I naturally have the ability to control it. As Qin Hao spoke, he directly took out several spiritual herbs that emitted an astonishing aura and swallowed them. The vast and majestic chant of the primary outline of the great Tao rang out in his mind. Hu Meinyang frowned, not daring to fall behind. She also took out a saint-grade spirit herb to heal her injuries. She knew very well what this shameless guy Qin Hao wanted to do. She had a connate embryo of Tao, so her recovery speed was quite fast. However, she knew that Qin Hao's physical body was no weaker than her connate embryo of Dao. Once he recovered, Hu Mainyang was certain that he would strike first to gain the upper hand and take the opportunity to deal with her. Fortunately, she had used 90% of her strength to suppress Qin Hao, so her injuries were not as serious as Qin Hao's. More than 10 minutes later, Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang got up at almost the same time and started fighting again. But this time, Qin Hao did not use his ultimate technique directly. He truly relied on his strength and battle techniques to fight with Hu Mainyang. The battle went on wildly. Hu Mainyang's connate embryo of Dao and the powerful ability of myriad Dao resonance, coupled with the fact that she had suppressed her strength to fight with Qin Hao, made her recovery speed not slower than Qin Hao's. But even so, after fighting with Qin Hao for real, Hu Mainyang was still shocked by how monstrous Qin Hao was. She could feel that it was not difficult for her to defeat Qin Hao if she used her full strength, but it was impossible for her to kill him. Once Qin Hao broke through to Tianfa, even defeating Qin Hao would be difficult. After a day and a night, Qin Hao's essence, qi and spirit suddenly soared into the sky. Tianfa had finally been activated. At this moment, Qin Hao's entire body was covered in injuries. His nose was bruised and his face was swollen. The peerlessly beautiful Hu Mainyang wasn't much better off than Qin Hao. Her bright and clean jade-like face was also covered in blood. She looked like she was gnashing her teeth. Obviously, after a day and night of trembling and suppressing her strength, she did not have any advantage at all. The bloody footprints and palm prints on her but were the best proof. Are you coming or not? It's about to start. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Why won't I come? Although Hu Mainyang was gnashing her teeth in anger at Qin Hao's shameless fighting style and exquisite battle techniques, she had no choice but to come to Qin Hao's side at this time. Pa. For palms connected, their minds connected. Qin Hao's small realm sky punishment came crashing down after the two entered the state of thoughtless tranquility. A terrifying tremor spread out, but it could not be compared to the great Tianfa. Moreover, the place they were in was an endless barren land, far away from the Emperor Jade Essence area. There was no need to worry about being discovered. After the Tianfa ended, the two were still immersed in the dual cultivation state. It was only 6 hours before the battle that Hu Mainyang let out a cold snort and ended the state. Qin Hao woke up and glared at Hu Mainyang with disdain. Both of them did not like each other, so of course they were not convinced. However, they still stepped into Small Wisdom 1 and hurried back to the human camp. There's no time, otherwise there's plenty of time after the battle. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Come here. Qin Hao did not waste any more words. What? It's a waste not to use it. 6 hours is still time. You're mine now, help me stabilize my realm. If you want it, say something nice to me. It's just an exchange. You still belong to me. The two in the flying device were at loggerheads, not giving in to each other. It was impossible for Qin Hao to take advantage of her. However, just as Hu Mainyang said, their souls were connected and their minds were as one. They were indeed using each other and improving together. Therefore, although they said that, they still took a step forward and entered the state of cultivation in the flying device. It's time. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Under everyone's anticipation, the cultivators from the 5 galaxies flew up into the air and headed towards the central region of the Imperial Chalcedony once more, as their leader's voice traveled tens of thousands of kilometers. At the same time, the 5 major galaxies that had been eliminated did not leave just because they had lost. This was a battle between the top experts of the 10 major galaxies. It was a rare opportunity for any cultivator to learn. At the same time, they could understand each other better. After all, there were still hundreds of years in the primitive secret realm. Conflicts and battles in the future were inevitable. If they missed this opportunity to understand each other's true combat strength, it would be extremely difficult. In the human race, Hu Mainyang, who had been in a mess 2 hours ago, once again bloomed with a peerless demeanor that could cause chaos and bewilderment in the world. If other people saw Hu Mainyang and Qin Hao together, their eyeballs would probably fall to the ground. Qin Hao, Qin Shui, Pan Long, Xia Yuyu, the sisters Du Jing, Bailey Ningbing and Gao Lan followed closely behind Hu Mainyang, forming the lineup for today's battle. After stepping into the late stage of the Heaven Immortal realm, although his realm had not been stabilized, his combat strength had increased tremendously. As for how much it had increased, even Hu Mainyang, who was dual cultivating with Qin Hao, could not be sure. However, Hu Mainyang was sure that even if he faced the top experts of the 3 strongest galaxies, Qin Hao would not be weak. Whether they could win would depend on how many hidden trump cards they had and how strong they were. However, at this moment, Qin Hao's aura was no different from before the battle. His disguised appearance was still the same as before. Pan Long and the others were the same. What are you looking at? During the flight, Qin Hao, who was staring at Hu Mainyang's back, suddenly heard Qin Shui's voice. Nothing. Big brother, I was thinking about today's situation and got distracted. What's wrong, little Shui? Qin Hao hurriedly transmitted his voice. He felt embarrassed, and the imperceptible golden light in his eyes disappeared. Didn't you say you couldn't wait to kill her? That's right, little Shui. Big brother was trampling on her with his gaze just now. So you're saying that she accompanied you to spar, but you were trampled on instead and now you're trying to find balance? That's not true. Although I didn't get the upper hand, it was a tie. How could Big brother lose out? You don't say what you think. Qin Shui rolled her eyes at Qin Hao and stopped talking. On the other hand, Qin Hao blushed with shame. Qin Shui's words had hit the nail on the head. Hu Mainyang, who had taken the lead and left her back to the others, also had a trace of anger in her eyes at this moment. Although she didn't turn her head, she could sense every movement of Qin Hao and the others. Even their gazes were no exception. Just now, when Qin Hao was staring at her back, she felt extremely strange, as if she had been completely seen through. Wherever Qin Hao's gaze went, that feeling was the most obvious. Even her curvaceous buttocks felt itchy. This was because Qin Hao's gaze was fixed on her buttocks for the most time. He's a hooligan in his bones. Hu Mainyang secretly said in her heart. Soon after, the corners of her mouth curled into a smug arc. For the time being, Qin Hao could only mentally trample on Hu Mainyang. He didn't expect that just because he despised Hu Mainyang's hypocritical, noble, elegant and aloofness, he couldn't help but use his fiery eyes of truth to blatantly despise the other party. This actually caused the person involved, Hu Mainyang, and the bystander Qin Shui, to sense it. If he had known that the 2 women's senses were so sharp, Qin Hao wouldn't have done this no matter what. The fiery eyes of truth was one of his top secrets. Although it didn't contain any energy and couldn't sense any mysteries, it could allow people with sharp senses and strong intuition to sense abnormalities. That shining white but seems to be really not bad. Motherfucker, this unruly and difficult to tame rouge horse has actually unknowingly aroused my desire? Qin Hao was suddenly shocked. Today's participants, please come forward. 10 sides gathered, 4 sides took the stage and 6 sides watched the show. Today, when he was about to face the Protoss, Chu Feiyong of the Tyrants still had a faint smile on his face. He was confident and aloof, as if he didn't care about the upcoming battle at all. This was the confidence brought about by his powerful strength. Chapter 8:18. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Following Chu Feiyong's words, the contestants from the Tyrants, the Protoss, the humans and the elves immediately rose into the air and arrived at their respective camps around Broken Peak. Hiss hiss hiss. Immediately, divine senses spread out unscrupulously to sense the opponent's aura. The 6 who won against the Heavenly Devil clan are all here. There are 4 new cultivators with average auras. As expected. As long as we perform as usual, we can win this match. The elven race cultivators secretly communicated after sensing the situation of the 10 humans. Their fighting spirit was high. With the experience of the first match, the elves, who were ranked 5th in the speed competition, directly sent a cultivator who had already been chosen to step onto Broken Peak. With the lesson learned from the Sky Demon race, the elves had sent out a cultivator ranked 10th. It would be great if he could win, but it would not matter if he lost. The 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th were all chosen by the elves to take the initiative to let the other party arrange their opponents when they took the field first. They were confident that their overall strength was higher than that of the human race. By taking the initiative to use these weaklings as bait, the human race would send out the strong to fight the weak against the strong. If they sent out the weak, they might lose directly. If they stayed, they would also fight the strong against the strong. No matter how they looked at it, they would not be at a disadvantage. Of course, they would not be able to benefit from it. In this way, they would not fall into a passive situation like the Heavenly Devil clan. Gaolan, you go. Hu Mainyang directly called out Gaolan. Among the 10 humans, Gaolan should be at least the top 6 in the eyes of the elves. Hu Mainyang wanted him to fight the weakest of the elves. Naturally, she wanted to win this match. Only Gao Lan himself and the other contestants of the human race knew that in Hu Mainyang's eyes, he should be the weakest. Although Gao Lan was a little dissatisfied, he would definitely not go against Hu Mainyang. This match, no matter what, I must win. I, Gao Lan, want to prove that I am not worse than them. Boom. Gao Lan turned Hu Mainyang's contempt into a strong motivation. His fighting spirit rose wildly and he began the battle. Between the two of them, Gao Lan was already a little stronger than his opponent. In addition to his strong fighting spirit to prove himself in front of Hu Mainyang, Gao Lan broke out beyond his limit. In a short 5 minutes, the battle ended. Although he did not kill his opponent, there was no suspense. The human race won the first round. In the second round, it was the human race's turn to go up first. Hu Mainyang immediately sent the fierce coiling dragon up. Coiling dragon's ferocity was far greater than his own strength. He was definitely a headache to deal with. Hu Mainyang's decision to send her out was within expectations. This guy is mine. The elves had already made arrangements to deal with the 5 human victors apart from Hu Mainyang. With coiling dragon's appearance, the elves naturally seized the opportunity to step onto the stage. The second strongest? Hu Mainyang and Qin Hao frowned as soon as the second strongest warrior of the elf clan appeared. Ha! You really think highly of me. Coiling Dragon laughed excitedly when he saw the other party. Do you admit defeat or do you want to die? The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan flapped his wings and stared at the coiling dragon in the sky. The rainbow-colored translucent wings flapped lightly, creating mysterious halos of light that exuded an astonishing pressure. Die. But it's you. Boom. Coiling Dragon took a step forward, waved his fists and rushed forward fiercely. He was very excited. Being able to show his strength in advance was naturally something he could not wish for more. He had been holding back for a long time. It doesn't matter. Even if he reveals a little, he'll only be in the bottom 5 in the 3 major galaxies, Qin Hao said to Hu Mainyang telepathically. The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan would only be 6th or 7th in the Tyrants, Protoss and Zerg clans. He would be eye-catching but not too eye-catching. Arrogant. With a flap of his wings, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan directly raised his strength and speed to the peak. He wanted to use his absolute strength to kill the fierce coiling dragon. However, what? Is this guy crazy? What made countless people widen their eyes was that the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan did not gain any advantage in this exchange of blows. Coiling Dragon, who was also retreating, rushed forward fiercely the moment he regained his footing. He continued to attack with his fists, full of vigor without holding back. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan did not have time to be surprised. The two of them were locked in a situation where they exchanged blows. It was cruel, bloody, and without any gorgeous unique skills. There was only the collision of pure strength. 2 minutes later, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan's shrill scream of horror came to an abrupt end, indicating the result of the match. What a fierce guy. He's completely fighting with his life. When 2 enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave wins. The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan is obviously frightened by this guy. Not to mention exceeding his standard, he didn't even display his basic combat strength, right? Indeed. However, this human guy definitely hid his strength last time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for his combat strength to increase so much in just 3 days. Countless cultivators looked at Coiling Dragon, who was covered in blood but still standing proudly, and discussed in a buzzing voice. Interesting. The human race is scheming something big. Maurice, who was unparalleled in the Zerg clan and had put away his 8 snake heads, stared at Coiling Dragon, then at Hu Mainyang and the others. He smiled and licked his delicate red lips with his fragrant tongue, full of evil charm and bloodthirst. Did you see that? No one knew that Xianxia, who had been pushed to the 4th most powerful warrior of the Protoss clan, had a cold, arrogant and confident voice that sounded in the ears of the 1st to 3rd most powerful warriors of the Protoss clan. They've been here for a long time, is that so? Then who do you think this person is? It must be Coiling Dragon. Although I don't know what method he used to hide the aura of almost all the ancient beasts, I'm sure it's him. I believe that you can also sense the remnant aura of the ancient beasts on his body. Also, his eyes inadvertently revealed a wild look. I can't be wrong. Lu Qianye transmitted his voice with great certainty. Hearing Lu Qinye's words, the three most powerful warriors of the Protoss clan pondered for a moment. Before the start of the elimination round, Lu Qianye had said that God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven would definitely appear. Now, although there were no clues, all the signs were completely within Lu Qianye's expectations. Lu Qianye was so sure because no one knew better than him about God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven. When the Imperial Jade Marrow Vein was first discovered, it was because of Proud Heaven's member Lan Feng. All these years he had been hunting down Proud Heaven's members. Although he didn't succeed, he knew a lot about them. We actually lost. The elves didn't feel anything when they lost the first round, but the second round, which they had expected to win, was lost. This caused the elves to lose their composure. It's just an accident. It's just one round, we can't lose our composure. You go. The leader of the elves, Siege, took a deep breath and followed the original plan. The 9th-ranked warrior was the first to ascend Broken Peak. Ningbing, you go. Hu Mainyang said straightforwardly. Then she transmitted her voice. If you can win, win. If you can't, don't force it. Just admit defeat. Miss Hu. Forget it. Bailey Ningbing wanted to ask something, but in the end she held back and didn't speak. Previously, there were 4 new people with powerful auras and there were 3 women among them. Bailey Ningbing's doubts about the matter became uncertain once more. And just now, Coiling Dragon showed that he was stronger than last time, which made her even more uncertain. So what if it was real? So what if it was fake? It was fine if it was fake, but if it was real, it was clearly by her side, but they were like strangers. What did it have to do with her? No one could understand this feeling. I will win. Bailey Ningbing stared at Hu Mainyang and flew into the air. To a certain extent, Hu Mainyang was similar to her, but what Hu Mainyang did was 100 times better than what she did in the past. If I didn't rely on your strength, I could reach where I am today. I could do it in the past and I can do it in the future. Even if we don't interact for the rest of our lives, I won't let you look down on me. The road is still very, very long. The immortal sword glow blossomed. Her slender figure, beautiful face, and determined eyes caused Bailey Ningbing's temperament and aura to undergo a shocking change. Her heart changed and her state of mind transformed. Like a Buddhist, she naturally entered a subtle state. At this moment, countless cultivators, including the top experts of the 3 galaxies, were slightly surprised. They revealed envious expressions as they stared at the beautiful figure descending from the void. Enlightenment. Bailey Ningbing actually gained enlightenment at this time? Amazing, as expected of the woman who has an affair with killing God Chen Hao. Her luck is amazing, but it's not the right time. So beautiful, killing God Chen Hao's women are all peerless beauties and each is stronger than the last. Even Miss Hu's relationship with him is unclear. Really makes people jealous. What nonsense are you talking about? Killing God Chen Hao is just a coward. How can he be worthy of Miss Hu? Cough cough. I'm just saying, what's there to be excited about? Brainless fan. While a few human experts were discussing in low voices, a youth who had disguised his aura glared at them and cursed in his heart. Just randomly pull out 2 sisters-in-law and they're not inferior to Hu Mainyang. My boss isn't worthy of her? Damn it. She only knows how to show off and confuse people. She's just a little stronger. Barely qualified to be my boss's concubine. Enlightenment? Go to hell. Boom. When the 9th elf expert saw Bailey Ningbing's appearance, he knew that he only had a 40% chance of winning this battle. But now that Bailey Ningbing had entered enlightenment, why would he wait? Even though he knew that this was a grave offense, this was the battle stage and it concerned the honor of the elf race. How could he not seize this opportunity? Stop. The people who were still envious of Bailey Ningbing suddenly heard 2 shouts. One was the leader of the human race, Hu Mainyang, and the other was one of the top 10 experts of the human race. Chapter 8:19. Stop? Do you think I'll stop just because you tell me to? A sharp glint flashed in the eyes of the 9th strongest elf. Not only did he not slow down, but he also gathered more energy around him and sped up. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he grasped it, he would incur the wrath of the humans and even the disdain of the alien races from other galaxies. However, for the sake of the elf race's victory, he did not feel the slightest bit of guilt. Epiphany was a state that cultivators could only come across by chance. The more profound and powerful one's cultivation was, the rarer it was to have an epiphany. It could be said that there were very few people who could still have an epiphany after reaching the heavenly immortal realm. Even top figures like Qin Hao and Hu Meinyang had not encountered one in the heavenly immortal realm for hundreds of years. Of course, the higher the cultivation level of the cultivator, the greater the benefits of an epiphany. In the cultivation world, there was an unwritten rule that no one could interrupt a cultivator's epiphany. But now it was on the dual stage. In addition, he carried the hat of righteousness of the elf race. Although the actions of the elf cultivator would be despised, they could not do anything to him. What a pity! The alien cultivator felt sorry for Bailey Ningbing. Shameless. Despicable. What bullshit peace-loving and nature-loving elf race. You're just shameless people. The human cultivator was filled with righteous indignation. Even Hu Meinyang could only speak out to stop him. She could not do anything. Buzz. No one knew that a pure soul power had imperceptibly penetrated the seal and directly entered between Bailey Ningbing's eyebrows. Undistracted, unmoved by honor or disgrace. Freeze. 8 notes that sounded like the sound of the great Tao directly entered Bailey Ningbing's soul. The word fix caused Bailey Ningbing, who had just been enlightened, to return to her tranquility. Abandon the physical body and let me control it. Immediately after, the familiar voice that had appeared in her dreams countless times in the middle of the night once again spoke in the depths of her soul like the voice of the great Tao. It's over. When the human cultivators saw that the elven expert's terrifying divine ability was about to hit Bailey Ningbing, who was completely immersed in enlightenment, they all felt pity. Even Qin Shui, Helian Wu Zi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yiyu, Long Ting and the other girls who didn't have any good impression of Bailey Ningbing were no exception. Love and hate, very much love. This woman who had interacted with Qin Hao countless times was clearly about to die, but they didn't feel happy at all. On the contrary, they felt sad and even faintly worried. Because just now, other than Hu Meinyang, the one who spoke up to stop the elf clan was Qin Hao in disguise. However, to everyone's surprise, Bailey Ningbing actually turned into a ray of light at that critical moment and flew out of the restriction, heading towards the distant void. Epiphany is something that no one can predict. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You should reason with them. Let Du Jing go. Du Jing, you're up. Kill without mercy. Aside from poison, it doesn't matter if you use all your strength. Almost at the same time, Qin Hao's voice sounded in Hu Meinyang and Du Jing's ears. Hu Meinyang looked at Bailey Ningbing, who was still immersed in enlightenment, and her eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Du Jing, on the other hand, was slightly taken aback. Immediately, his expression became frighteningly gloomy. He was originally very shrewd and had always been known to be ruthless. In Outyan, he was harmless to humans and animals. Even like Lan Feng, he was bullied by Coiling Dragon. However, that was because Coiling Dragon was his brother. If he really treated him as a harmless citizen, he wouldn't even know how he died. Moreover, after 200 years, he said the same thing when Qin Hao asked him how he was. Even if Coiling Dragon wanted to bully him, he would also be defeated. Boss is angry. As expected of an exclusive property. The rumors are true. Since that's the case, only death awaits. Boundless killing intent filled Du Jing's heart, but his aura didn't change at all. When it came to disguising, Du Jing was much better than Coiling Dragon. The angrier he was, the calmer he was. It was a long story, but it all happened in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Hu Meinyang suddenly soared into the sky, and an extremely terrifying pressure burst out from her body. Endless Tao laws rolled and covered a radius of 10,000 miles. She looked down at the elf tribe cultivators on the broken peak and snorted coldly. You knew Bailey Ningbing had entered the state of enlightenment, yet you still attacked. Do you think I don't exist? Even if you're lucky enough to escape today, you'll definitely die in the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Du Jing looked at Hu Meinyang's figure that was as dazzling as the scorching sun in the sky. Her figure was insufferably arrogant, and when he heard such arrogant words he was stunned. Hu Meinyang, the saintess of the Misty Rain Pavilion, was a connate Taoist fetus who had been doted on by everyone. She had always been graceful and elegant. Except for when she got angry when she fought with boss Qin Hao for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, she had never lost her composure. Anyone who came into contact with her knew that her cultivation was unparalleled in the world, but most of them thought of her as a charming and seductive goddess. But now, the goddess was angry. The whole world was silent. No one thought that Hu Meinyang would suddenly fly into a rage and say such strong words. The voice of a powerhouse could intimidate heaven and earth. Even the leader of the elf clan, Xianxia, did not dare to let out a fart at this moment. The elf clan loves peace, advocates nature and stands aloof from worldly affairs. That's not entirely true. Miss Hu, you don't have to be angry. This incident happened by accident. No one could have predicted it, so it doesn't count. You can choose another person to fight. At this moment, the number one powerhouse of the tyrants, Zhou Xian, also rose slowly into the air and said fair words that made Hu Meinyang and the other human cultivators feel very comfortable. The elf clan was depressed, but they could not refute it. If they had succeeded in killing her, then so be it. Since they had failed, they would be asking for trouble if they argued now. After all, in any situation, not to mention killing, even interrupting a cultivator's enlightenment was despicable. No matter where they went, it was not justifiable. You've disgraced the elf clan. The leader of the elf clan, Xianxia, glared angrily at the ninth powerhouse, who was completely overwhelmed by Hu Meinyang's aura, and reprimanded him. Xianxia was indeed angry. If you wanted to do it, then do it. You did it but did not complete it. You caused trouble for nothing and provoked the anger of a powerful woman like Hu Meinyang. The ninth powerhouse of the elf clan suddenly woke up from his daze. His expression became extremely ugly. Looking at the eyes of Xianxia and the other powerhouses of the elf clan looking at him, his heart was filled with despair and anger. He had risked universal condemnation for the honor of the elf clan. It was fine if the human and foreign cultivators despised him, but if the elf clan also treated him like this, he could not accept it no matter what. This was no less than being betrayed by everyone. Miss Hu, let me do it. Boom. Du Jing did not wait for Hu Meinyang's order. After hearing the words of Zhou Xian from the tyrants, he suddenly rose into the air and volunteered. Although he released some of his aura, it was still suppressed to just the right range. Du Jing was very clear that if he exposed too much of his strength at this moment, this scum of the elf clan might directly admit defeat. Then there would be nothing he could do. Hu Meinyang glanced at Du Jing and frowned slightly. She only hesitated for a moment and waved her hand. Whoosh. Du Jing immediately turned into a stream of light and rushed to the top of Broken Peak. Die, die, die. Even if I die, I will win this battle. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After seeing Du Jing enter the arena, even though Du Jing had concealed his aura, he knew that the human race was furious and would never send a weakling to fight him. They were just afraid that he would admit defeat. However, he also knew that he had no way out. Whether it was for the honor of the elf clan or to obtain a larger proportion of the Emperor Jade essence, a failure was a failure. The winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. If he could salvage this battle, there was still a place for him in the elf clan. Otherwise, he would rather die a heroic death. Anger, despair, hatred, all kinds of emotions made him disregard life and death. He completely threw away everything, and endless fighting spirit rose around him. The rainbow wings vibrated with a buzz, and he charged towards Du Jing with his spear. It's just a last-ditch struggle. Du Jing's eyes shone with excitement, and he waved his sword to meet the attack. In the past, his edges had been worn down by Chen Hao, his perverted boss, Coiling Dragon, and the others. However, the viciousness in his bones had never disappeared. At this moment, with Chen Hao's verbal order, Du Jing let out his viciousness without any scruples. He was like an unsheathed sword, showing its sharpness. One move. He only wanted one move, not giving his opponent any chance to admit defeat. Essence, Qi, Spirit, True Yuan, Divine Sense, and the strongest divine sense that he had learned in his life except for poison were all gathered together. Whoosh. The sword light shone brightly, tearing the sky apart. The horrifying fluctuation, accompanied by a terrifying explosion, directly drowned the entire Broken Peak. No way. This is the second powerhouse of the human clan. Countless exclamations erupted from the surrounding cultivators. Most of the cultivators had already guessed that this human cultivator must be a hidden powerhouse. Otherwise, Hu Meinyang, who was furious and clearly stated that she wanted to kill the ninth powerhouse of the elf clan, would definitely not let him go on the stage. However, Du Jing's crazy ruthlessness that drained all his strength in one move, and the terrifying aura that burst out still shocked everyone. Damn it. Why isn't it me? Coiling Dragon saw Du Jing's appearance and he was envious and jealous. Obviously, Du Jing had received Qin Hao's permission. Otherwise, with Du Jing's nature, it was impossible for him to be so bold. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying explosion sounded and it lasted for half a minute. Du Jing's face was pale, but his eyes were shining with ruthlessness and excitement. He did not even look at the flesh that was destroyed by his own energy, and directly used the remaining energy to fly back to the human clan's camp. Damn it, you really think you're the second powerhouse? Coiling Dragon stared at Du Jing's arrogant appearance and transmitted his voice unhappily. Brother Pan, at least now I am. If you don't have the demeanor of a powerhouse, wouldn't you be embarrassing the boss? In the end it will all be revealed. You're right, but I'm very unhappy. What do you think I should do? Chapter 8:20. Brother Pan, you already killed the second most powerful warrior of the elf race and I'm just getting some leftovers. Oh right, my saint-level soul-devouring silkworm has given birth to a silkworm king. It's the one that mutated after drinking some of your blood. It's very ferocious and it only broke through after devouring thousands of my soul-devouring silkworms. Fuck. Pan Long cursed but didn't say anything else. Even if he could trample on Du Jing thousands of times, he would still vomit blood because of Du Jing's poisonous worms. Now that a silkworm king was born, how bad would it be? He wouldn't be able to take any advantage at all. Did you see that? That person should be Du Jing. Killing God Qin Hao doesn't have any weaklings under his command. If he uses poison he will be even stronger. No one knew that Xianxia of the god race had already exposed Du Jing's identity to the top 3 elites of the god race at this moment. The one who spoke up to stop that idiot from the elf race must be killing God Qin Hao. Impossible, right? Nothing is impossible. Killing God Qin Hao's concealment technique might not be the best in the same realm, but no one in the primitive mystic realm can compare to him. If he doesn't want anyone to know who he is, no one would be able to tell from his aura. If not for Pan Long, Du Jing and the others, even I wouldn't be able to guess it was him. Moreover, you should already know about his relationship with Bailey Ningbing. If it wasn't him and Hu Mainyang who spoke up to stop her, who else could it be? Very good. To Lu Qianya's surprise, the number 1 elite of the god race, Nye Fan, wasn't worried at all. Instead, his eyes shone with excitement. Killing God Qin Hao. Let me Nye Fan break his legend. Chi chi chi. In the distance behind the human camp, the energy of heaven and earth fluctuated violently and gathered towards a graceful figure standing in the void. Bailey Ningbing had unexpectedly entered the state of enlightenment, which was something that could only be discovered by chance. The surrounding human cultivators were extremely envious and excited. One thing was for sure, after the enlightenment, Bailey Ningbing's combat strength would definitely increase tremendously. This was undoubtedly a good thing for the human race. Of course, the surrounding cultivators weren't just shocked. Instead, they used their fastest speed to adjust their states and assimilate into Bailey Ningbing's aura of enlightenment, hoping to gain something. No one knew that a strand of Qin Hao's soul consciousness was currently in Bailey Ningbing's mind. However, even though Epiphany was good, it did not mean much to top experts who already had their own path. Epiphany was the transformation of one's mental state on the path of enlightenment. This was a Tao that belonged solely to Bailey Ningbing, and only she would benefit the most from it. Cultivators who had yet to find their own Tao would also gain quite a bit. Perhaps some of them would be enlightened and gain some insights which would help them comprehend the Tao in the future. However, Qin Hao and the others were useless. The competition didn't delay because of Bailey Ningbing. The human race was still in the lead with a 3 o'clock score, and their momentum was unstoppable. With Hu Mainyang's victory, the human race only needed to win one more match to remain undefeated. Plans can't keep up with changes. Since it's come to this, let's have little snow fight. We'll just beat our opponents. Yu Huan Lele and Bailey Ningbing won't have to fight. Qin Hao transmitted to Hu Mainyang. Bailey Ningbing. Eating from the bowl and hogging the pot. When she's about to die, won't she be exposed? Nonsense, do you think I'll just watch her die? I didn't say I'd let her die. Why are you so agitated? If I didn't cooperate with you, do you really think your soul consciousness could pass through the restrictions the 10 of us set up without being detected? Also, keep an eye on the gods. They seem to have discovered something. So what if they've discovered something? This time the gods are the ones I want to stomp to death. If it wasn't for Xianxia, the entire Emperor Jade Marrow district would be ours. All these years I've been in seclusion, and the gods have been hunting down the members of Proud Heaven. They must be tired of living. Qin Hao frowned slightly after hearing Hu Meinyang's words. Don't be too confident. Niafan and Xianxia are easy to deal with. The two ranked before Xianxia are naturally not to be trifled with. Among the four of them you can at most kill one. I'll reluctantly help you kill one. As for the other two, I'm afraid no one in Proud Heaven can defeat them. Is that so? Then open your eyes wide and watch. Even if you don't do anything, Proud Heaven will still destroy them. In the fourth match, it was time for the human race to fight first. Qin Shui directly went up. When they saw Bai Tian, the elves' morale had dropped to the bottom. By now they knew that the human race had hidden too deeply. Siege, who was supposed to adjust his strategy, was not in the mood to do so. Kana, who was supposed to deal with Bai Tian, went up the stage. Even though he had given it his all, he was still defeated by Qin Shui's soaring strength. He no longer had the courage to risk his life and the confidence to win. Naturally, he decisively admitted defeat at the critical moment. 4 o'clock. Hu Meinyang had not entered the stage yet, but the human race was already in an invincible position. In the fifth match, Qin Hao took the initiative to enter the stage. Let me. Siege, the leader of the elves, had no choice but to enter the stage. Even if they were going to lose, they could not let the human race win completely. It would be too embarrassing if they were to be shaved bald. Buzz. Siege's rainbow wings flapped, and his entire body seemed to have teleported directly to Broken Peak. The human race has really hidden deeply. However, it's impossible for them to win completely against us elves. Perhaps you've hidden your strength as well? Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you enter the stage at this time. Unfortunately, I'm going up. Siege stared at Qin Hao condescendingly. Although the elves were destined to lose the match, Siege's image as the #1 expert of the elves was still sufficient. The aura on Qin Hao's body suddenly soared. Huh. You're not going to admit defeat? You want to fight? Siege asked in surprise. In his opinion, as long as it was not Hu Meinyang, he would be able to stop the other party's wishful thinking of winning completely. No matter who it was, when they saw him enter the stage, they would probably admit defeat immediately. Similarly, countless cultivators present had the same thoughts as Siege. Siege's strength as the #1 expert of the elves was unquestionable. He was second only to Hu Meinyang, Chu Feiyang, Morichis, Niafan, and other top experts. Other than Hu Meinyang, no one in the human race thought that anyone could fight against him. However, Qin Hao began to gather his aura. Damn it, the ignorant are really fearless. But this feeling of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger feels really good. Although I'm about to vomit blood when it's time to explode, just thinking about it makes me excited. I seem to like this feeling. However, isn't it a little too early for Senior to reveal his powerful strength now? Coiling Dragon secretly whispered to Du Jing through voice transmission. It's not early. Boss can't reveal much even if he wants to. Besides, our opponents in the next match are basically those trash from the Protoss. So what if we're all exposed? Otherwise, Boss wouldn't have allowed me to unleash my poison skills without restraint. That makes sense. Brother Pan, I've understood this since I was 3 years old. You're all grown up now? Are you serious? As soon as Siege's voice fell, Qin Hao's aura, which was already surging violently, suddenly increased to a level that was not inferior to Siege's at all. This made Siege, who had maintained a high and mighty posture, suddenly change his expression and shut his mouth immediately. Countless cultivators in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. He's so strong. Even the top experts from the Tyrants, the Insect Race, and the Protoss, who had maintained a detached posture from the beginning, could not remain calm except for Xianxia and Yafan and the other top experts. The human race is indeed the most cunning race in the top 10 galaxies. They've hidden their strength so well. We have to re-evaluate the combat power of the human race. Even we have to take it seriously. The contestants from the top 3 galaxies all revealed solemn expressions. Miss Hu, you're amazing. This is a little more interesting. Otherwise, it would be a pity for you to fight alone, huh? At this time, Chu Feiyang from the Tyrants looked at Hu Meinyang with a smile and said, Brother Chu, you must be joking. Although the human race has hidden some of our strength, there's still a big gap between us and the top 3 galaxies. Mainyang doesn't dare to think too much. Mainyang also smiled, but her eyes were locked on Broken Peak with a trace of nervousness. Of course, this nervousness was for others to see. It could be said that the one who knew Qinhao's combat power the best now was Mainyang. Although she aged, the top expert of the elf race, was second only to her and several top experts from the top 3 galaxies, he was not enough to deal with Qinhao. Sure enough, after raising his strength to the same level as Siege, Qinhao was still able to suppress Siege with a slight advantage. This made Siege's blood boil with shame and anger. As the number 1 expert of the elven race who had previously boasted shamelessly, he was now being suppressed by Qinhao, an unknown expert. His reputation had been swept to the ground. His shame turned into anger, and in order to defend his dignity as the number 1 expert, Siege went berserk and fought Qinhao with all his might. In such a situation, it would have been difficult for Qinhao to kill Xianxia. Even if Qinhao exposed his full strength, as long as Xianxia wisely admitted defeat, it would have been difficult for him to kill Xianxia. However, Qinhao easily killed the number 1 expert of the elf tribe at the cost of heavy injuries. This was completely unexpected. At the same time, it also caused a huge sensation. The leader of the top 10 galaxies was the first to die. It directly caused the elf race to fall into an endless depression. They were not much better off compared to the eliminated galaxy of the Sky Fiend race. We can't complain about losing, huh? The humans have hidden their strength so well, and the elf race is far inferior to us. We've lost completely, huh? The cultivators of the Sky Fiend race were excited. They had a score of 4-6 against the humans, but the powerful elf race was completely defeated. This undoubtedly gave them a place to find balance. There's no need to go up. We, the elf race, admit defeat. The cultivator with the highest cultivation among the elf race immediately admitted defeat with an embarrassed expression. With Mainyang going up, who would dare to fight her? They did not even dare to go up the stage. Otherwise, it was hard to say if they would even have the chance to admit defeat. The secular Heart Sutra gave you a casual look and you would lose your mind. You would be dead meat. It's finally our turn. Zhou Xian of the Tyrants murmured with excitement in his eyes. Are the Tyrants really the strongest? We, the God race, will defeat you first. Niefan, the top expert of the God race, took a deep breath and said. Chapter 8:21. Suddenly, the number 1 expert of the insect race, Moriches, let out a breathtaking laugh and flew into the air. Zhou Xian, Niefan, Mainyang, and the others frowned slightly. They did not understand what this coquettish woman was up to. The insect race had gotten a bye and gained such a huge advantage. Was she still not satisfied? After all, the Tyrants and the Protoss were the first to fight. Casualties were inevitable. If the real experts died, the insect race would naturally take advantage of them. I have a suggestion that you can consider. Moriches, why do you want to fight first? The Tyrants don't mind letting you go first. The Protoss naturally doesn't mind. Do I, Moriches, look that stupid? I knew you would think that the insect race would get a bye. Sure enough. If I want to win, I must make you accept it wholeheartedly. I don't care about that little bit of advantage. My suggestion is very simple. The elf race has indicated that they will stop at the 5th place. The human race has hidden their strength very well. Their strength is not much worse than our 3 galaxies. Also, Mainyang, you have hidden your strength, right? Perhaps killing God Qinhao and the members of Aotion have already arrived? Moriches suddenly looked at Mainyang with a devilish smile on her seductive oval face. Whoosh, what? Killing God Qinhao and the members of Aotion have arrived? I see, no wonder the human race has so many hidden experts. Which one is killing God Qinhao? Moriches' words directly ignited all the cultivators. In an instant there was an uproar. Countless eyes looked at the 10 experts of the human race and the cultivators standing in front of the human race camp. They wanted to find killing God Qinhao and the members of Aotion. Mainyang did not expect to be called by Moriches at this time. However, her expression did not change at all. She still had a faint smile on her face and said, killing God Qinhao and the members of Aotion may have really come. As she spoke, Mainyang's gaze swept across Qinhao and the others. She said, unfortunately, even Mainyang doesn't know if it's true. Do you think they are? Then let's take it that they are. What does that mean? Hu Mainyang's ambiguous words made everyone unable to understand what she was up to. However, Qin Hao frowned slightly but soon felt relieved. No matter what, Hu Mainyang would never allow herself to fall into a passive position, nor would she allow her reputation to be tarnished. Since she had been questioned by Maurice in front of everyone, regardless of whether the other party was probing or had already discovered some clues, Hu Mainyang's answer was undoubtedly the best for herself. Qin Hao and Proud Heaven's members weren't harmed in any way. Instead, they were beating around the bush in an ambiguous manner, neither admitting nor denying it, which made it difficult for the other party to confirm their suspicions. Furthermore, if Qin Hao and all the other members of Proud Heaven were exposed, Hu Mainyang would be able to cut ties with them. At the very least, she wouldn't have to hide anything from anyone. Murderous god Qin Hao's concealment skills are unparalleled under the heavens. I'm sure Proud Heaven's members won't be too bad, right? Whether you admit it or not, I can conclude that murderous god Qin Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven have already participated in the battle, and they are among these people. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many hidden experts in the human race. Murderous god Qin Hao, what do you think? I'm looking forward to a battle with you the most. If you can defeat me, I can give you my primordial Yin body, and we can practice dual cultivation together for a few hundred years. In exchange, if I defeat you, you have to become my man and join the Bug Clan. I know you can definitely hear me. Therefore, I suggest that we end the battle here today. 3 days later, the tyrants will fight the Protoss and the Bug Clan will fight the humans. Isn't this fair? At least the Bug Clan didn't take advantage of you. Maurice from the Bug Clan didn't feel that his words were inappropriate at all. However, in the ears of the human race and the cultivators from other races, it was simply too awesome. As the #1 expert of the Bug Clan, he actually wanted to dual cultivate with murderous god Qin Hao in front of all the cultivators from the 10 major galaxies in the primitive mystic realm, regardless of the outcome. How shameless must he be to do that? Even Qin Hao was shocked by this demonic and manly woman's straightforwardness. On the other hand, Qin Shui and the other girls were disgusted. They looked at Maurice as if they couldn't wait to kill him with their swords. Even Hu Mainyang frowned slightly. He was a little unhappy. Was it because murderous god Qin Hao was too charming, or was Maurice too shameless? The answer was naturally twofold. There was no clear boundary. Maurice's words clearly told everyone that murderous god Qin Hao's talent was unprecedented. If one could dual cultivate with him, the benefits would definitely be huge. This was where Qin Hao's charm lay. Perhaps only the Bug Clan, a race that completely regarded dual cultivation as a path of cultivation and had no moral constraints at all, would dare to say such shameless words in public like Maurice did. I'm impressed. I thought only the Protoss could see it. I didn't expect Queen Maurice to be as good as us. What was even more unexpected was that Lu Xianxia, the former leader of the Protoss and the current #4 expert, actually laughed loudly. He rose into the air and praised Maurice. You were Qin Shui during the day, right? And you, although I don't know what method you used to conceal the aura of an ancient ferocious beast, you're Coiling Dragon, right? And you're Du Jing, the merciless tyrant, right? And all of you, you're one of murderous god Qin Hao's Taoist companions, right? As for murderous god Qin Hao, do you dare say you're not? Lu Xianxia pointed and pointed. Every time he reached a person, he would confidently point out the other party's name. Every time he pointed out someone's name, the crowd would go into an uproar. Especially when he pointed out the young man who had just killed the leader of the elf clan, it caused a huge commotion. Murderous god Qin Hao. The human cultivators all felt their blood boiling. They suppressed the excitement in their hearts and stared at Qin Hao and the others. In the crowd, Niu Air, who had met Qin Hao once, was so excited that he trembled. It should be known that Qin Hao had told him that his surname was Qin. Therefore, although Qin Hao and the others still did not admit it, Niu Air was very sure. Other than murderous god Qin Hao, who else had the ability to kill the #1 expert of the elf clan? Hu Mainyang's expression also seemed to be very surprised as she looked at Qin Hao with a hint of anger. In the primitive mystic realm, everyone knew that Hu Mainyang and murderous god Qin Hao had fought to the death for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. Even when they were breaking through the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, Hu Mainyang wanted to take advantage of Qin Hao's heavenly punishment to kill him. To put it bluntly, the relationship between Hu Mainyang and Qin Hao was like fire and water in everyone's eyes, even in the eyes of the human race. However, no one was worried that Hu Mainyang would come into conflict with Chen Hao now. After all, when the human race had called for murderous god Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven to appear, Hu Mainyang had promised to announce it to the world. Damn it! Seeing Coiling Dragon, Du Jing and the others looking at him excitedly, Chen Hao felt a headache coming on. Previously he had concealed his strength for two reasons. First, the three strongest galaxies were indeed very strong. Hiding his strength would give him more confidence. Moreover, he also needed a few battles to temper himself and trigger heavenly punishment. Second, he and the members of Proud Heaven were the most hated and feared existences of the foreign races. If he revealed his identity too early, he would definitely become a thorn in the side of all the foreign races. However, in today's battle, because of Bailey Ningbing's sudden epiphany, Chen Hao had forced Du Jing to reveal all of his strength except for his poison arts. In order to defeat the elves, he had also revealed his powerful strength. At first he thought that the other party would at most be suspicious. After all, Chen Hao believed that everyone had hidden their strength well. However, he didn't expect Marichis to directly say that he and Proud Heaven had appeared. Even more unexpected was that Lu Qinya, the most hated expert of the divine race, had pointed out Coiling Dragon, Du Jing and himself. Under the gazes of countless people, Chen Hao knew that it was useless to continue pretending to be ignorant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom. With Chen Hao's permission, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing and Qin Shui as well as Chen Hao himself, suddenly erupted with extremely powerful auras and reverted to their true forms. Ha! I am Coiling Dragon. Lu Qinya, you have good eyesight, you grandson. You can still recognize us like this. Not simple. Coiling Dragon's wild laughter resounded through heaven and earth. His entire body expanded to 3 times its original size, releasing the aura of a ferocious beast. After reverting to his true form, Du Jing's eyes flashed with a soul-stirring cold aura. He stood side by side with Coiling Dragon. Under his ancient ferocious beast aura, he gave off a feeling that he wasn't weak at all. His body flickered with a dark green light, looking exceptionally terrifying. During the day, this fair-skinned young man had transformed into a beautiful woman in a blue dress. She had a graceful and exquisite body and a beautiful face. She was not inferior to the publicly recognized goddess Hu Mainyang. Moreover, she gave people a feeling that she was more real than Hu Mainyang. This was real beauty, so beautiful that it shook people's souls. Compared to Hu Mainyang, who was worshipped by thousands of people, she gave off a completely different feeling. Each of them had their own merits. The 3 of them could be said to be shocking, but all eyes were focused on the mythical existence of the primitive secret realm, Chen Hao. His handsome and cold face, his pitch-black eyes were as deep as the vast ocean, and his slender figure stood proudly like an unsheathed sword. Regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, they all felt a kind of pressure that came from the soul. Chen Hao, the god of killing, was a nightmarish existence to all the foreign tribes that were once in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. Fleeing at the sight of him was a true portrayal of them in the past. Now, even though Chen Hao had disappeared for 200 years, the actions of the members of the Proud Heavens were all linked to the god of killing, Chen Hao. As a result, his prestige and influence didn't diminish at all. Now, even more cultivators who had never seen Chen Hao, the god of killing, felt a chill down their spines just by looking at Chen Hao's figure. A person's name was like a tree's shadow. This was the kind of pressure that came with the prestige of a king. Instead, she passed the ball to Hu Mainyang. Ha! None of you can take it away from me. God of slaughter Chen Hao, what do you think of what I said just now? Marichis of the insectoid race stared at Chen Hao with a burning gaze, as if he was staring at the most delicious prey. I hate insects the most, especially Hydra. Do you really think you're human just because you've cultivated a human form? A reptile is a reptile. You dare to insult me? Oh, so you also think that insects are inferior to humans. Interesting. Chu Feiyong of the Tyrants finally spoke. There was still a faint smile on his face, but the only change was that his eyes were burning. The appearance of the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Aotian is really exciting. I think there's no need for nonsense. Let's do as Miss Mauritius said. 3 days later we'll meet in the 4 major galaxies. I'm looking forward to the battle with Miss Hu, but at the same time, I'm also looking forward to the battle with the god of slaughter Chen Hao. It's really hard to choose. I'll make another suggestion that has nothing to do with the ownership of the Emperor Chalcedony. I don't know if everyone agrees. After the competition, let's have a free challenge. How about it? Huh. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I and Yefan agree. I'm looking forward to it, Mauritius said without hesitation. Mainyang naturally has no objections, Mainyang said without any change in her expression. Well, since everyone has no objections, it's settled then. That's it for today. 3 days later, the tyrants will fight the Protoss and the insect race will fight the humans. God of Slaughter Aotion, God of Slaughter Aotion. The human race army shouted wildly, and their momentum reached an unprecedented peak. Countless cultivators who wanted to see the God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Aotion up close were almost crazy. The God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Aotion were really exposed, and the human race cultivators were completely burning with excitement. Even Mainyang, the leader of the human race, was temporarily overshadowed by the God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Aotion. When Bailey Ningbing's epiphany ended, Mainyang gave an order, and the human race army returned to the human race's encampment. Qin Shui, who had exposed her true identity, gently held Qin Hao's arm in front of everyone's eyes. She was in high spirits and beautiful beyond compare. On the other hand, Qin Hao's expression was calm and extraordinarily handsome. The two of them were peerless, and the human race cultivators, regardless of gender, were envious of them. The God of Slaughter Qin Hao was a legend in the primitive mystic realm. And the people who created this legend, other than the God of Slaughter Qin Hao's domineering killing of the foreign races, were more important were the members of Aotion. There were no weaklings in Aotion. Even the weakest, Lan Feng, was a person who could stir up trouble on his own. Not to mention the wild and battle-thirsty Coiling Dragon and Du Jing. Of course, the most dazzling were the women of Aotion who had a clear relationship with Qin Hao. Qin Shui, Long Ting, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, the beautiful sisters. Each of them was a genius beauty that made cultivators drool. It was already a great blessing to have one, let alone all of them. It was also because of this that the God of Slaughter Qin Hao was even more unfathomable. Bailey Ningbing looked at Qin Hao, who was flying in front of her, as if nothing had happened. He didn't even look at her. Her heart trembled slightly after her epiphany ended, and a bitter smile appeared on her face before she regained her composure. The transformation of her state of mind and the transcendence of her epiphany made her no longer confused, and she no longer had extravagant hopes. Qin Hao was able to help her at the crucial moment, and because of her he exposed himself in Aotion. Wasn't that enough? If it was the previous her, she might have once again taken Qin Hao's disregard to heart. But now she didn't think so. She wasn't willing to lower her head, let alone the God of Slaughter Qin Hao. This was undoubtedly the best ending for him. The road is still very, very long, Bailey Ningbing muttered in her heart as she retracted her gaze. The Bug Race encampment core area. Mauritius gathered all the experts of the Zerg race to prepare carefully for the battle after the three of them. The exposure of the God of Slaughter Qin Hao and Aotion's members, in addition to the existence of a top expert like Mainyang, caused the human race to rise to the level of the tyrants, the Zerg race and the Protoss. This made Mauritius excited, but she also had to take it seriously. Similarly, the tyrants and the Protoss also specially analyzed the God of Slaughter Qin Hao and Aotion's members. As for the cultivators of the top 10 alien races, they were even more excited and restless in these 3 days. Just like what Chu Feiyang of the tyrants, Niafan of the Protoss and Mauritius of the Zerg race said, without the presence of the God of Slaughter Qin Hao and Aotion's members, even if they won, there was nothing to be proud of. Now it could be considered a real battle between galaxies. The appearance of the God of Slaughter Qin Hao and Aotion's members is definitely not inferior to any of the 3 strongest races, the tyrants, the Protoss and the Zerg race. The battle in 3 days is really exciting. I really want to see how beautiful the Dao partner of the God of Slaughter Qin Hao is. Did you see that Chen Xiaobai today? He's not inferior even to the leader of the human race, Mainyang. None of his women are inferior. In the past 200 years, they have appeared many times, and every time they appear they cause a sensation. How strong is the God of Slaughter Qin Hao? Why are Mauritius, Chu Feiyang and the others more interested in him than Mainyang, the top expert? Mauritius even confessed her love in public. Unfortunately, the god of slaughter Chen Hao didn't even bat an eye. How strong a person is, you only need to look at the people around him, especially how outstanding his Dao partner is, and you can almost judge it. Chen Hao has so many beautiful and talented women as his Dao partners, and they get along well with each other. It's definitely unfathomable. There's also Pan Long, Du Jing, and the other top talents of the human race. They can easily become overlords, but they're willing to follow the god of slaughter Chen Hao. It's even more unbelievable. Besides, the god of slaughter Chen Hao's reputation is undoubtedly the strongest in the primitive secret realm. If you can defeat him, you'll gain a lot of luck, not to mention fame. Naturally, it's more exciting than Hu Mainyang. The foreign races who were only qualified to watch the battle gathered in groups of 3 to 5, discussing the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian enthusiastically. The commotion caused by their exposure was definitely comprehensive. As for the human race, they were even more excited. Some who had expressed their strong desire to not hide anything and even humiliated Chen Hao and Ao Tian because they didn't come were now being attacked by their friends. The god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian had come long ago. They were just hiding their true identities because their influence was too great. How could they be cowards? Brother Chen, I want to join Ao Tian. Is it possible? In the human race, in Hu Mainyang's temporary palace, the human race experts gathered. As soon as they sat down according to their strength, Gao Lan stared at Chen Hao with burning eyes and said bluntly, "You no problem. After all, you're a brother who fought side by side with Ao Tian. Your strength is also not bad. On behalf of Ao Tian, I welcome Brother Gao to join us." Chen Hao stared at Gao Lan and said, Gao Lan, if there weren't any members of Ao Tian, was second only to Hu Mainyang and equal to Bailey Ningbing. Moreover, he was the first human race expert who volunteered to fight when he knew the danger. Such a person, whether it was strength or temperament, wouldn't be bad. Many thanks, Brother Chen. You're still calling him Brother Chen? Du Jing patted Gao Lan's shoulder with a pong and said frankly, "Boss." Gao Lan was suddenly suppressed by Chen Hao. He wanted to resist, but when he felt the numbing power of thousands of insects entering his body, his expression changed greatly. He hurriedly bowed to Chen Hao again and said, Chapter 823. Gao Lan had been ranked 4th in the Divine Temple before entering the Primal Secret Realm. He was far from Du Jing's level. Of course, Du Jing was similar to the 4 Mad Dragons. Although he was not in the top 10, he was a headache for the top 10. Du Jing was proficient in poison, while the 4 Mad Dragons were weak individually. But now, the power that one-handed Du Jing displayed with just a slap was not something that Gao Lan could contend against. He was shocked and excited at the same time. Killing God Chen Hao, a member of Proud Heaven. Without a doubt, Du Jing had improved tremendously after following Chen Hao. Boss, this Gao Lan has a strong background. He's the grandson of the Divine Temple's elder Gao Yuan Kong. He's the #1 genius of the Gao family, and also one of the top 10 in the Divine Temple. He's a bit of a fool and used to look down on my poison skills. Du Jing transmitted his voice to Chen Hao. Chen Hao nodded at Gao Lan, not showing any indifference. Proud Heaven had a special meaning to him. Not only was it the famous Proud Heaven here, but it was also the Proud Heaven on the Infinite Planet and many of his brothers and sisters. After 2 battles, Chen Hao more or less understood Gao Lan's strength and character. Otherwise, he would not have agreed to join Proud Heaven so easily. But joining was one thing, but to become a core member was impossible for now. Hu Mainyang watched quietly, not stopping him. Her expression did not change at all. Brother Chen, do you still recognize me? Just as Hu Mainyang was about to speak, another voice came from behind her. A young girl stepped out from the crowd. It's you? Of course I do. Chen Hao smiled. What, you want to join Proud Heaven too? It's you, girl. You even stopped senior brother from fighting me. Pan Long could not help but say when he saw the girl. Brother Pan, hello. Brother Chen, can I? My name is Xianxia, a disciple of the Divine Temple. Although my strength is average, I'm still stronger than most people. Furthermore, I'm confident that I can become even stronger. Xianxia announced her name, her face filled with excitement and anticipation. You better think this through. Proud Heaven is a thorn in the side of the outsiders. Joining him will be very dangerous. Thank you, boss. I'm not afraid of danger. You won't disgrace Oden's name. Xianxia said without hesitation after hearing Chen Hao's words. Even the way they addressed him had changed. Miss Hu, let me in. Boss Chen, I'm Niu Air. Brother Lan Feng, I'm your sworn brother, Niu Air. At this moment, a shout came from outside the palace. Hu Mainyang finally frowned. It was one thing for one or two people to take the initiative to ask to join Proud Heaven, but now even the human cultivators who weren't qualified to enter couldn't sit still. Where would she put her face as the leader of the human race? Lan Feng, go and see Niu Air. Also, if anyone else wants to join Proud Heaven, you can sign them up. Du Jing will be in charge of the final decision. Just bring him to me when the time comes. Yes, boss. Du Jing and Lan Feng, who was hidden in the crowd, answered at the same time. After speaking, the two of them walked out of the palace. Then, with a crash, the human experts who had entered the palace for Qin Hao and Proud Heaven suddenly swarmed out. At least a third of them disappeared in an instant. Some cultivators hesitated for a moment, then quickly followed him out. It was obvious that these were all cultivators who wanted to join Proud Heaven. Holy Maiden Hu, I'm sorry, but we can start now. Hu Mainyang glared at Qin Hao. Is Mainyang going to give you the position of leader of the human race? I wouldn't dare. The position of leader of the human race belongs to none other than Holy Maiden Hu. It's not something I, Qin Hao, can take up. I don't have the charisma. You mean you have the strength? Humph, I'll settle the old score between you and Mainyang after this battle. Alright, God of Slaughter, Qin Hao, members of Proud Heaven, you've all seen it. You can leave now. After speaking to Qin Hao, Hu Mainyang glanced at the remaining thousands of human experts and said indifferently, Miss Hu will always support you. Let's go. Some human cultivators cupped their fists and said, making their stance clear. However, they didn't know that Hu Mainyang had said such words on this occasion to confuse Qin Hao about her real relationship with him. After all, whether it was in the human race or in the other 9 galaxies, she and Qin Hao were mortal enemies. At this time, for the sake of the big picture, she could only suppress it for the time being. A bunch of idiots. If they knew that I even played with her girl, their eyeballs would fall to the ground, right? Qin Hao looked at the die-hard fans who had made their stance clear and said disdainfully in his heart. Qin Hao hadn't expected Proud Heaven to be so popular. However, it was clear that more people supported Hu Mainyang. Moreover, Qin Hao knew that many of the people who wanted to join Proud Heaven were Hu Mainyang's supporters. It was just that Hu Mainyang hadn't established her own faction yet. Otherwise, it would be hard to say how many people would join Proud Heaven. Of course, Qin Hao was just saying that. Hu Mainyang didn't gain the support of many cultivators just because of her appearance. Her freakishly powerful strength was the foundation. We'll fight the insectoids in 3 days. Today we need to confirm the lineup in advance. You already know the situation with Ning Bing and Gao Lan. The others are all members of Proud Heaven, so you can decide. However, Mainyang has to remind you that insectoid Maurice's is very strong. Even I don't have a 100% chance of winning against him. Moreover, their second, third, and fourth strongest fighters are also very strong. They're definitely among the top. Don't be careless. If you lose this battle in order to preserve your strength, it won't be worth it. In the palace, only the members of Proud Heaven and the participants of the human race were left. In fact, only Bailey Ning Bing and Gao Lan were of any significance. The rest of them were already useless against the elves. However, they couldn't be sent away at this time. You mean to use the strongest lineup? Qin Hao looked at Hu Mainyang and asked. You know Proud Heaven's situation better than I do. It's just that the insectoids didn't have many main forces in the first battle. Our understanding is limited. You decide how to arrange it, Hu Mainyang said. Those who are exposed naturally have to go. Quilling Dragon Du Jing Xiao Shui Mi Yu Gao Lan. Qin Hao looked at the silent Bailey Ning Bing and said, and Bailey Ning Bing 7. Big brother, hiss. Qin Ling came to Qin Hao's side and grabbed Qin Hao's hand, saying, Linger wants to go. Ever since she was taught a lesson by Qin Hao, the eccentric and lively Qin Ling had restrained herself a lot. However, today she couldn't hold back anymore. It had been so long, but Qin Hao hadn't taken the initiative to talk to her. This made her very sad, disappointed, and wronged. Qin Hao stared at Qin Ling and hesitated for a moment before saying, Okay, you're in. You next. Huan Leila, you two go. I'll go. Sister, let me go. I'm the eldest, naturally I'll go. Don't worry, there won't be any danger. It's the same whether you go or I go. Oh, okay. Are you sure there won't be a problem? Hu Mainyang frowned slightly. She had received very clear information. Qinling was fine, but among the members of Proud Heaven, Helian Wuzi, Long Ting and Tantai Lian were very strong. The sisters were relatively weaker, but Qin Hao obviously didn't bring out the strongest lineup. Don't doubt the people you use, don't use those you doubt. Since you let me decide. Hey, just do as you say. If there's a problem, it's none of my business. Hu Mainyang knew that Qin Hao didn't have any good words. She directly interrupted him and said, Maurice's, are you going to go or should I? She named me and provoked me. Who do you think will go? However, since Chu Feiyang proposed a free challenge, maybe you and I won't have a chance to fight with her. We'll see when the time comes. Big brother, do you hate Ling Er? Don't think too much. Be good in the future, how can I hate you? But sometimes the demon in your heart isn't necessarily. I already know, don't say any more. Big brother, will you look down on Ling Er? I won't. Okay, we'll think of a way in the future. Don't think about it for now or I won't be able to take it. Okay. After everyone finished discussing the situation that they should pay attention to when fighting against the Zergs, they stepped out of Hu Mainyang's palace at the same time. Qin Ling was still holding onto Qin Hao's arm. This was a very normal thing for the girls and everyone. Previously, under normal circumstances, even when Li Yang, the cultivation partner, was around, Qin Ling, the little girl, would be closer to Qin Hao. Even Qin Shui and the others wouldn't think much of it. Moreover, Qin Hao did dote on this little sister who was strange and powerful. But at this time, if the girls knew the content of the conversation between the two, they wouldn't be so calm. Hiss. A breeze blew and Qin Hao appeared in Hu Mainyang's palace again. He sat cross-legged in front of her. What's a demon in your heart? What Hu Mainyang didn't expect was that Qin Hao looked at her very seriously this time and asked. A demon in your heart is an evil thought. It's born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If it grows stronger, you will eventually be controlled by it and lose yourself. What's an obsession? An obsession is an existence that is completely opposite to a demon in your heart, but is also similar. To a certain extent, they can be interchangeable. They're both born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires, so there's no difference in essence. It's nothing more than good and evil, light and darkness. What, could it be that the great killing god Qin Hao has developed emotions that can't be distinguished from an obsession or a demon in his heart? Why don't you tell me? Hu Mainyang stared at Qin Hao. Chapter 8:24. Then I'll have to disappoint you. I was just asking. Qin Hao looked at Hu Mainyang, who seemed to be waiting for a good show. He shrugged his shoulders and said, Is that so? I've been coexisting with the devil fetus for so many years and can maintain a pure heart. I have some understanding of how to subdue the inner demons. Since you don't need it, I won't say anything. Hu Mainyang smiled. What is good and what is evil? Aren't you just asking? Forget it, I'll be the one to explain the Tao to you today. The so-called good and evil are the same as the inner demons and obsessions. The so-called good and evil of ordinary people are nothing more than the winner takes all. Success is good and failure is evil. But on the path of cultivation, good and evil are control and loss of control. If you can control it, it's obsessions. If you lose control, it's evil, it's the inner demons. What is control and loss of control? Obsessions and inner demons are desire. Obsessions exist forever. Even if you can't achieve it in your life, or even if you achieve it, it won't have any negative impact on yourself or the cultivation world. It's control, it's good. Otherwise, it's the inner demons, it's evil. This is a kind of expansion of desire that has no end. As time passes, it becomes stronger and more harmful. Falling into complete loss of control and immersing oneself in desire, it's evil. The path of cultivation isn't bitter. What's bitter is that the cultivator has too many desires. The heart has no inner demons, but because there are too many desires and too many things that can't be let go, the inner demons are born. Desire is like sand in the hand. The tighter you hold, the more you lose. The more you lose when you let go. Should you hold or let go? It has to be just right. If you let go too much, you'll lose the courage to improve. If you let go too much, your obsessions will turn into demons. Just like gains and losses. When you get something, you might be losing it. When you lose it, you might be in possession. Give up the pursuit of enlightenment. Give up the small to gain the big. Give up the absurd to retain the true. Give up the false to obtain the real. Hu Mainyang's initial teasing was completely gone. She was like a goddess, solemn and dignified. She was surrounded by Tao principles and thousands of Taos resonated. Her ethereal and seductive voice was like the sound of the great Tao. It shone with golden light and entered Qin Hao's eardrums, heart and spleen and heart lake. On the other hand, Qin Hao slowly closed his eyes. His spiritual altar bloomed and he naturally entered the state of selflessness. Preaching the Tao. There's actually such a subtle feeling. Hu Mainyang muttered to herself as she stared at Qin Hao, who had been brought into a state of enlightenment by her. You're still denying it? How stubborn. Is it because of me? Ripples appeared in Hu Mei's heart lake. Qin Hao's problem today was his inner demons and obsession. Based on Hu Mainyang's understanding of Qin Hao, it seemed that other than her, Qin Hao's people like Qin Shui would not be able to make him fall into a situation where he could not distinguish between them. Loneliness like the snow will never return, and the spring water of the river begins to overflow. My heart is unsettled. If I get it, it's what I deserve. If I lose it, it's what I should lose. Gains and losses are predestined. Why can't I be calm? Fate comes and goes, gains and losses are predestined. The heart does not increase or decrease, the wind does not move. The mortal world refines the heart naturally. Don't be stubborn, don't have wild thoughts. Hu Mainyang stared at Qin Hao's handsome face and heaved a long sigh of relief. She calmed the ripples in her heart and naturally entered the state of selflessness and tranquility. She was so holy and dignified. Senior brother's love is the real big brother. Big brother's love is. It's a pity that big brother has not broken through to the third realm of spirit cultivation. He can't see anything. Is taboo love really as powerful as Master said? What if big brother can't bear it? Linger, you promised senior brother. You can't act recklessly. I believe that big brother can handle it well. Senior brother, I think that no matter if big brother likes or loves me, he will not do anything to let you down. What if it turns into an inner demon and negatively affects big brother? What should we do? It's true that big brother likes you. If it turns into an inner demon, then we'll kill it. If we can't kill it, then we only need to. Li Yang's divine consciousness remained in Qin Ling's mind. If Qin Hao knew about it, what would he think? Obsessions and inner demons. Qin Ling had endured Qin Hao's Red Dust Heart Sutra's 9th level, the 7 emotions and 6 desires illusory realm. Moreover, it had been specifically designed to kill the inner demons of evil for her. Unfortunately, after an entire month there was no effect at all. This was because after Qin Hao's divine sense sealed Qin Ling, he simply couldn't find the so-called inner demons of evil. This was also why Qin Hao was unable to face Qin Ling's words and fell into a state of confusion. 3 days later, the 10 galaxies advanced towards the core region of the Emperor Jade Marrow at almost the same time. The human race's morale soared to an unprecedented level. Even Hu Mainyang had to admit that killing God Qin Hao and Proud Heaven were like the stabilizing force in the hearts of the human race cultivators. She could not compare to them alone. No matter how strong she was, she could not dominate the overall situation in this team battle. However, killing God Qin Hao and Proud Heaven's members could. The first battle was between the tyrants and the Protoss. This battle should have happened 3 days ago. However, the confident Morris did not want to take advantage of the situation, and Lu Qinya of the Protoss had clearly exposed Proud Heaven, so the battle was delayed until today. It was impossible to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. The result would only be clear after a real battle. Both the tyrants and the Protoss were confident in their teams. They were determined to win this battle and win the most important victory since the start of the competition. They're not simple. There are so many new faces. Could this be their strongest lineup? I told you to be careful. The 3 top galaxies will never reveal their strongest lineup before a real battle. Until now, they've hidden their strength better than us. If we lose today, let's see how you'll be able to show your face. Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang secretly communicated with each other when the masters from the Tyrants, the Protoss and the Bug clan stepped forward. Apart from a few obvious experts from the 3 major races, there were 4 or 5 experts who had concealed their auras and had never appeared before. Obviously, these were the true experts with trump cards in their hands. As for the human race, there was no doubt about Hu Mainyang. Everyone knew her. As for killing God Qin Hao and Proud Heaven's members, only Hellion Wuxia and a few other women did not reveal their identities and played a role in confusing the other party. Compared to the situation where countless masters from the 3 top galaxies competed for the right to participate in the competition, it was simply incomparable. Gains and losses, gains and losses. When you gain, you may be losing. When you lose, you may be in possession. Why are you so stubborn, Saintess Hu? Bah. You're using my words against me. Do you have any shame? Chapter 825. Proud heaven is stronger than you think. Chen Hao didn't continue to tease him. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and exuded confidence. Coiling Dragon and Chen Ling had 2 ultimate inheritances. Chen Shui, who had half an innate Taoist fetus and obtained the destructive thunder inheritance. Du Jing, who had integrated poison into his every move and cultivated the Silkworm King. Xia Yuyu, who was originally from the emotionless swordsmanship and had obtained the supreme inheritance of the emotionless swordsmanship from an ancient almighty. Ling Ninghuan, who was gifted in speed and had cultivated the great teleportation technique. Chen Hao believed that as long as the members of Proud Heaven avoided the top 3 experts of the Bug Clan and arranged their opponents reasonably, they would have a high chance of winning the competition. With the addition of him and Hu Mainyang, the chances of them obtaining the final victory were, at least in his opinion, very high. In particular, during the 200 years that he had been in seclusion, every time the members of Proud Heaven returned, Long Ting, who had obtained the heaven-defying inheritance of the Great Dream's Heart Sutra, would perform the Great Dream's Heart Sutra and allow everyone to enter the true state of thoughtless tranquility. The effect of their cultivation increased by several times. Tentai Lian's hellfire helped everyone kill their inner demons, refine their souls and train their willpower. Helian Wuzi's chaotic divine light also trained everyone in all aspects. How strong were the members of Proud Heaven now? Even Chen Hao, who hadn't experienced it himself, couldn't accurately estimate it. The tyrants will win. Invincible in the Chaos Galaxy. The Protoss will win. Number 1 in the Divine Territory. When the first cultivator from the Tyrants, the Chaos Galaxy, the Protoss, and the Divine Territory Galaxy took the lead, the cheers of the various galaxies resounded throughout the world. If the top 4 of the Protoss don't appear, no one can compete with me. Whoosh. A stream of light flashed past. A cultivator from the Tyrants, who had disguised his aura and appearance and hadn't shown his face before, stepped onto the stage arrogantly and let out a domineering voice. Remember the name of the person who defeated you, Lan Guang. Whoosh, Lan Guang. It's actually Lan Guang? I can't see through his disguise at all. Lan Guang, who was ranked 4th among the Tyrants before entering the primitive mystic realm. When the Tyrants competed for the top 10 contestants this time, he had displayed extremely terrifying combat power. Now he was definitely the 5th expert of the Tyrants. Lan Guang. Lan Guang. In an instant, Lan Guang's name resounded throughout the entire world. Ha! The Tyrants are indeed arrogant. Do they think that we, the Protoss, only have 4 experts? I Qinzhan will send you to the afterlife today. Morning battle. Isn't he just the 6th expert of the Shen clan? Rumble. Neither of them was willing to submit to the other. In order to gain fame and gather luck, they exchanged their names and announced it to the world. Then they directly started fighting. The Protoss ranked 6th against the Tyrants ranked 5th. If it were any other race, there might be a huge gap between the 5th and 6th place. However, the Protoss and the Tyrants both had many experts. Even the gap between the 5th and 10th place was not that big. After more than 10 minutes, the result of the battle was clear. Qinzhan of the Protoss was defeated, and Lan Guang of the Tyrants won by a narrow margin. The Tyrants and the Protoss are really too strong. Even the experts in the middle of the rankings are so terrifying. The cultivators of the various races only watched one match and they were already shocked. Either one of them could be considered one of the top experts in other galaxies. The elimination round and the duel between the humans and the elves could not be compared to the battle between the 2 of them. This caused the humans, who had been full of confidence in Proud Heaven, to waver. In the second round, the Tyrants took the lead, but the Protoss seized the opportunity and caught up. In the third round, Xianxia of the Protoss took the lead and defeated the 4th expert of the Tyrants. One was the 4th of the Protoss and the other was the 4th of the Tyrants. It was clear that Xianxia, who used to be the leader of the Protoss, was stronger than expected. At the same time, it also sounded the alarm for the Tyrants. Even Chu Feiyong became serious. If the top 3 experts of the Protoss were all stronger than Xianxia, the tyrants would probably be defeated today. Fortunately, after the tyrants sent out their 3rd expert, they defeated the 3rd expert sent out by the Protoss in a high-profile manner and turned the tables. The battle continued until it was a tie. Both the tyrants and the Protoss only had the top expert and 2 lower-ranked experts left. Everyone did not expect such a situation. At this moment, if Chu Feiyong and Niefan were to avoid each other, it would definitely be a draw. Unless the strong fought against the strong or the weak fought against the weak, then there was hope for one side to win. Chu Feiyong, I, Niefan, am looking forward to fighting with you. I hope you won't disappoint me. You go. The top expert of the Protoss, Niefan, directly sent another cultivator to the stage. Don't worry, I will fulfill your wish. Chu Feiyong looked at the last cultivator with a serious expression and gave the order. Even if Niefan didn't issue a challenge, he would still choose to fight against Niefan. He was confident that he could defeat Niefan and win a victory for the tyrants. If the other contestant could win, the tyrants would win. If he lost, it would be a tie. Naturally, he had to take the risk. Similarly, Niefan had the same idea as Chu Feiyong, which was why he provoked him. Very good, this is straightforward. Strike is strike. It doesn't make much sense to rely on tactical arrangements. If everyone can do this, then the real number 1 will be revealed. Humain killing God Chen, how do you like it? While the 2 experts of the tyrants and the Zerg race were fighting, Zerg Queen Morichis looked at Humain and Chen Hao and said provocatively. If everyone can do this, it's indeed not bad. Humain said bluntly. It doesn't matter. If everyone is exposed, the human race will naturally accompany you. Chen Hao also said directly. The other party also had hidden experts. Relatively speaking, it was only the women on their side who didn't reveal who was who. They were not as good as the other party who had many hidden experts. The Protoss will win. The Protoss will be number 1. More than 10 minutes later, the Protoss cultivators burst into cheers. The Protoss took the lead again, making the score 5-4. They were already in an invincible position. We won, huh? Niefan let out a wild laugh that resounded through the world. The battle intent around him rose wildly and he flew directly to the broken peak. We actually lost this battle. Chu Feiyong of the tyrants shook his head. Immediately, like a scorching sun, he cut through the sky and said, we can only tie for the time being. Terrifying turbulence spread in all directions with Chu Feiyong's appearance. The law of remarkable powers filled the air and the pressure was monstrous. You don't have a chance. Niefan's surging physical strength made his whole person like a pillar supporting the sky. No matter how terrifying Chu Feiyong's pressure was, not even a strand of his hair moved. His whole person seemed to have turned into an immortal King Kong. It's good to be confident, but you're too arrogant. The moment Chu Feiyong arrived, he waved his hand and took the lead. In an instant, mysterious runes filled the entire broken peak, and the energy of heaven and earth was directly sucked dry. Who's the arrogant one? It's not based on words. Niefan proudly took a step forward and the whole broken peak trembled violently. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant the two of them fought together. Too strong. Is he still a celestial being? At this moment, countless people were shocked. The seal laid down by the top 10 experts and under the premise of constantly pouring in energy had just begun at this moment, but there were already signs of collapse. No matter if it's a participant or a spectator, each galaxy will send out 1,000 experts to reinforce the seal. Otherwise, everything within a radius of 10,000 miles will be turned into ashes. Insect race, Maurice said directly. Humain Yang was the first to respond. No problem. Although the cultivators from other galaxies had already lost the qualification to fight, no one wanted to miss such a peak confrontation. Naturally, they would not object. In an instant, the 10,000 experts from the top 10 galaxies gathered around the broken peak according to their respective camps like locusts, and at the same time, they released a powerful force and divine ability law, which integrated into the seal. This allowed the seal to be completely stabilized. Tut. Buzz, buzz, buzz. On the broken peak, Chu Feiyong let out a light shout, and a bright sword light suddenly gushed out from between his eyebrows. In an instant, the aura of an ancient sacred artifact swept across the whole heaven and earth. What? Countless people widened their eyes in horror, and Nye Fan, who bore the brunt of it, even turned into a flash of light and retreated quickly. Nye Fan, you do have the capital to be confident, but in front of me, Chu Feiyong, you're still arrogant. To be able to force out one of my trump cards even if you lose, you have enough to be proud. 10,000 sword kill. Buzz. Tititi. Rumble. 800 ancient sacred swords condensed into one of Chu Feiyong's strongest killing moves, 10,000 sword kill. Very strong. Even Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang's expression became dignified. The 10,000 sword kill itself contained the divine ability law, which was an ultimate technique, but the real strong point was that Chu Feiyong was activating 100 ancient sacred swords at the same time. Not to mention 100, it was difficult for an ordinary cultivator to even get one. Moreover, even if there were ancient sacred swords, the cultivator would be limited by their own divine sense, essence, qi, spirit, true yuan and realm, and the number of swords that could be activated at the same time was extremely limited. However, Chu Feiyong was able to activate 100 swords, and the aura that was released from each sword was obviously fully activated. This was definitely an extremely heaven-defying thing. For Extreme's transformation, Nye Fan roared. Because of the deficiency of the divine race's talent, he only contained simple divine ability law, but at this moment his essence, qi, spirit and the power of his physical body erupted like a volcano. In an instant, his figure, which was not tall, crazily soared at this moment, especially his arms and legs, which instantly grew to 100 feet, 1,000 feet. The 4 limbs of his body soared, and the sound of breaking through the air turned into the roar of a dragon, a tiger, a bird and a turtle. 4 Extremes transformation. The 4 extremes are the 4 limbs and the 4 images are the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird and black tortoise. The highest realm, raising one's hands and feet, the roar of a tiger, the cry of a dragon, the cry of a phoenix and the roar of a turtle. This is one of the strongest physical body talents of the divine race. This Nye Fan has actually cultivated to the extreme realm. No wonder he is so confident. However, this should be his strongest trump card. It's still hard to say who will win and who will lose. Hu Mainyang murmured to Qin Hao through telepathy. There was no other way. In the human race, only Qin Hao was the most familiar with her, and only Qin Hao's strength was on par with hers, so she could communicate with him. Chu Feiyong won. But what Hu Mainyang did not expect was that Qin Hao directly said, his 10,000 sword kill is only on the surface. The real killing move is the 10,000 sword kill as one. This ultimate skill of his is a continuous ultimate skill. Qin Hao said again. Chapter 826. Consecutive attacks are not accurate. It should be called a combination of unique skills. Qin Hao saw Hu Mainyang frowning and added, if Nye Fan can resist the 1,000 sword kill, then he will have to face the 1,000 sword unite. If he can't resist the 1,000 sword kill, then there's no need to talk about it. How did you see it? The mystery of the runes and the change of qi. Qin Hao squinted his eyes and stared at the broken peak and said faintly. Boom. Rumble. The collision of the unique skills caused the most terrifying wave since the start of the competition. It covered the sky and the sun and the energy raged. Who is the arrogant one? Nye Fan's arrogant laughter came out from the dust. Obviously, he resisted Chu Feiyong's 1,000 sword kill. 1,000 sword unite. What? But what answered Nye Fan was Chu Feiyong's calm and cold voice filled with killing intent. Immediately, Nye Fan exclaimed in shock. The raging energy and the 100 ancient swords that had been blown apart by Nye Fan suddenly emitted even more terrifying humming sounds at this moment. The 100 swords that seemed to be in a mess suddenly blossomed with dazzling runes. Like sparks, they lit up one after another and soon merged into one. Their auras were connected and the runes were connected, turning into a giant rune made of 100 swords with a divine ability. The raging energy was swallowed up directly. The 100 swords changed their direction and cut through the void from all directions. They carried a power that was several times stronger than the 1,000 sword kill, and they attacked Nye Fan. A mournful, frightened, unwilling and heart-wrenching roar suddenly burst out from Nye Fan's roar. I admit defeat, Seal. Chi. The moment Nye Fan had no choice but to admit defeat, the true origin, spirit and physical strength in his body crazily gathered towards his head. The power of every cell was forcefully sucked out and sealed into his brain. He was very clear that serious injuries were unavoidable. Whether he could keep his life depended on this. Puff puff puff. Boom boom boom. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Nye Fan's huge body, which had transformed into an elephant, was directly annihilated by the terrifying sword light. Only his head, which had condensed all of his strength, was still shining with a jade-like light. It broke through the air and fled toward the ceiling enchantment. "You're wise." Chu Feiyong's calm but cold voice was filled with boundless arrogance. However, he didn't waste his energy to chase after Nye Fan. Firstly, Nye Fan had already admitted defeat in advance. Secondly, it wouldn't be easy for him to truly kill Nye Fan, who possessed an immortal and indestructible body. Thirdly, even if he could kill Nye Fan, he would probably hold back. The reason was simple. If Nye Fan was killed, the Protoss would be much weaker in the battle against the Zerg race and the humans. If the Protoss were weaker, their chances of winning would be higher. This was disadvantageous to the Tyrants, who were on par with the Protoss. The Tyrants and Protoss were tied at 5-5. There would be no additional matches in the round-robin tournament for the time being. If the results of the two clans were still the same in the end, the new members would have to compete in another round to determine the winner. As expected, no one knew that when the dust settled, the former leader of the god race, Xianxia, looked at Nye Fan's head and thought to himself, "Only I, Xianxia, can control the Protoss. Soon, very soon, killing God Xianhao Ao Tianhe. I, Xianxia, have led the Protoss to hunt you down for more than 100 years. Do you really think that I don't have the ability to kill one of you? It's just a miniature aircraft. I, Xianxia, will give you a big surprise. Tremble in fear. What do you mean by low-key? I, Xianxia, am the real low-key." Such a powerful technique, and it's only 2 moves. Chu Feiyong of the Tyrants is too strong. The #1 expert of the Tyrants is indeed powerful. I don't know if Chu Feiyong is deliberately exaggerating or if he really has a more powerful trump card. If he does, then it's really incredible. I'm afraid that no one can defeat him. Yes, the Tyrants are the strongest among the 10 galaxies. Chu Feiyong can stand out among them and become the leader of the Tyrants. He's definitely an unfathomable existence. Countless people stared at Chu Feiyong, who was slowly flying out of Broken Peak, in disgust. Although the Tyrants' cultivators had fought to a draw, their cheers at this moment were filled with vigor and vigor. It's finally time for the insect race to appear. Hu Mainyong, killing God Xianhao, isn't it time for you to reveal yourselves? Kikiki. As the insect race queen spoke, she waved her hand at the 9 people behind her. Immediately, a few disguised cultivators shone with a dense aura and returned to their true forms. Hu Mainyong smiled slightly and nodded gently at Qianhao. "Reveal yourselves." Qianhao's solemn eyes bloomed with a touch of sharpness. Kikiki. Xia Yuyu, Leng Ninghuan, and Qin Ling directly released their auras and returned to their true forms. Whoosh! The picturesque Xia Yuyu, the charming Leng Ninghuan, and the extraordinary Qin Ling instantly became the focus of all the cultivators' attention. Not all of them are the strongest of the proud heavens. Originally, because of the existence of Bailey Ningbing and Gao Lan, although everyone thought that the 2 of them were not as strong as the members of the proud heavens, they thought that it was the result of the game between Hu Mainyong and killing God Qianhao. After all, the participants of the human race could not all be members of the proud heavens. Therefore, they thought that the 3 women who hid their auras should be the strongest of the proud heavens. However, except for Qin Ling, who majored in soul cultivation, Xia Yuyu and the 2 sisters were obviously not the strongest of the proud heavens. Killing God Qianhao is indeed worthy of being called killing God, worthy of being called proud heavens. You want to win against the insect race with such a lineup? Killing God Qianhao, are you really not going to consider what I said before? Not interested. Stop talking nonsense, let's begin. Maybe after today's battle with me you will change your mind. I welcome you at any time. You go. Or a humanoid insect race cultivator with scales all over his body and a shining tail behind his buttocks suddenly let out a bestial roar and flew towards Broken Peak. Breaking Beetle King, the 6th strongest of the insect race. Hu Mainyong's eyes flashed as she said softly. Although the difference in strength between the other insect race cultivators was very small, there was still a small gap. Sending out the middle of the group was no doubt the best choice. Xia Yu. Qin Hao looked directly at Xia Yuyu and said softly, "He." Xia Yuyu turned into a ray of light and flew onto the stage. Xia Yuyu? As expected, that's her real name. Isn't she the Tao companion of killing god Qin Hao on the everlasting star? He just found out. Qin Shaobai was killing god Qin Hao's Tao companion on the everlasting star, Qin Shui. Many people had already guessed that. The sisters were Ling Ning Huan and Ling Ning Lo. There's also Helian Wuzi Tantailian and so on. These are the real names of the proud heaven women. However, it's only now that killing god Qin Hao has officially revealed his identity. He has a miniature flying device and can hide his real identity. He used a fake identity to obtain the right to enter the primitive secret realm. Could it be that the background of killing god Qin Hao and the others is, of course, Qin Hao deliberately called Xia Yuyu by her full name, causing quite a commotion among the human cultivators. However, most of them had already guessed the true identities of the proud heaven women. After all, the fake names they had used before could be associated with their real names. With the rise of killing god Qin Hao, the cultivators from the Asian Ing planet who knew Qin Hao's background very well had long since used it as a topic of conversation. But today, at this moment where they were fighting for the honor of humanity, where all eyes were on them and where destiny was gathered, Death God Qin Hao had officially revealed her identity as an outstanding woman. After a short discussion, Xia Yuyu's name exploded in the human camp, resounding through the heavens and earth. Rumble. A sharp and merciless sword light bloomed. The battle had begun. Qin Hao's eyes emitted an intimidating light as he stared at Broken Peak. The sixth strongest of the insectoid race was on par with Xia Yuyu in terms of absolute strength. Even Qin Hao was not completely sure if he could win this battle. However, after watching for 2 minutes, Qin Hao's eyes dimmed and a smile appeared on his face. 200 years, Yuyu. Their growth and battle experience are better than I expected. Qin Hao's emotions surged as he gazed at this innocent girl who was the first to dual cultivate with him and who made him strongly want to step into the cultivation world of the Eastern continent. So many years had passed. Although they still hadn't broken through the last line of defense, they had all become a part of each other's lives. Xia Yuyu was like that, and so were the other girls. Qin Hao knew that the girls had put in unimaginable effort to catch up to him. The battle ended in 10 minutes. Under Xia Yuyu's ruthless sword Tao and terrifying battle intent, the insectoid king's scales scattered all over Broken Peak. It threw away its armor and fled from the seal. Proud heaven. At this moment, not only Morichis of the insectoid race, but also the experts of the tyrants and the Protoss showed a dignified expression. In the second round, Gao Lan, the new member of Proud Heaven, was the first to appear. Although he knew that he was the weakest among the 10 humans, Gao Lan's battle intent still rose. To him, having the title of Proud Heaven was like having an invincible halo. Even if he lost this battle, he wanted to show his strongest strength in front of Qin Hao, Proud Heaven, and all the other human cultivators. When the insectoids saw that it was Gao Lan, they sent out the 10th strongest of the insectoid race without any hesitation. Gao Lan, who had already fought twice, was very clear to everyone. Although Gao Lan tried his best and exceeded his standard, he still ended up in a miserable state and almost lost his life. In the third round, the 5th strongest of the insectoid race appeared. Qin Hao did not use any tactics and directly sent Du Jing to fight. After seeing that it was Du Jing, the 5th strongest of the insectoid race, frowned. It was not because Du Jing was strong, but because no ordinary cultivator would be willing to fight with Du Jing, the poisonous killer. They would rather fight with someone stronger than Du Jing. Even if he were to lose, he would still feel good about it. However, Du Jing, who was covered in poison, made the cultivators stronger than him tremble in fear, unable to fight to their heart's content. It's really bad luck to meet you. Why are you scared? If you are, then admit defeat lest I refine you into a poisonous creature. Scared? Without poison techniques I can kill 10 of you. With poison techniques at most I'll feel suffocated. Killing you is still as easy as killing a chicken. Is that so? I'll beat you with my strength. Today I won't use poison techniques to slap your face. Du Jing seemed to be angered by his opponent's words. He, who had always been surrounded by poisonous insects, actually raised his sword and attacked his opponent. Chapter 827. Humph, I'll be damned if I believe you. No other cultivator would believe Du Jing's words, not to mention this insect clan expert. Du Jing, the proud heaven poisonous hand, was famous for being insidious and cunning. Experts of the same level would fall into his trap if they were careless. It was impossible to guard against him. Therefore, this insect clan expert was very cautious and careful. He was highly focused all the time to prevent Du Jing from suddenly using his unpredictable poison skills. Du Jing, on the other hand, was bold and fierce. It seemed that he was going to take down his opponent with his real strength. He had the momentum of a coiling dragon. The more Du Jing acted like this, the more the insect clan expert did not dare to use his full strength. However, as time went by, the insectoid expert who had to deal with Du Jing's poison technique, who had always kept a backup plan, became more and more depressed as the fight went on. Every time he felt that he had a chance and wanted to go all out, Du Jing, who was fiercely attacking, would suddenly make some strange movements very stealthily. This made him feel that Du Jing had deliberately left a flaw, so he had to forcibly suppress himself. However, after he suppressed himself, Du Jing returned to normal. He did not even show a single poisonous insect. It was not until Du Jing became fiercer and completely suppressed the fifth insect clan expert that this insect clan expert came to his senses. However, it was too late now. In the end, Du Jing did not even use his poison skills and forced him to escape from the Seal of Broken Peak. He spat out a mouthful of blood. It was partly because he was injured by Du Jing, but more because he was angry. With such IQ, why do I need to use my poison skills? Du Jing returned triumphantly while laughing wildly in front of everyone's dumbfounded eyes. The insect clan expert vomited blood while the human clan was cheering happily. Even Chen Hao could not help but admire Du Jing's insidiousness. He knew that the opponent would not believe him and attacked unscrupulously. He did not use any energy to prepare his poison skills at all. During this time, he just made it look like he was using his poison skills, which scared the opponent so much that he did not dare to use his full strength. As a result, he was tragically suppressed by Du Jing, purely based on combat strength. Shameless guy. He's too cunning. If our people attacked with all their strength from the beginning and were not afraid of his poison skills, the result would not be like this. This poison hand Du Jing really lives up to his reputation. He didn't even use his poison technique, but he was able to defeat his opponent with his mind. Brother Du is mighty, too awesome. All kinds of discussions between outsiders and humans rose in the air. Motherfucker, stop being so cocky. Big brother will show you what absolute power is in a moment. Coiling Dragon looked at Du Jingyo and said with disdain. Brother Pan, you don't have to be like this even if I stole your rice bowl. I learned that aura just now from you. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy to deal with that guy. Du Jing didn't mind at all. Fuck, it's because you're like me that I'm not happy. If you want to learn, you should learn better. Aren't you embarrassing me? That won't do. There's a disparity between our innate conditions. How can my body and figure be compared to a humanoid ferocious beast like you, Brother Pan? That's true. Zerg Queen Morris's expression was as usual. She didn't change at all after losing this match. With the majority of Proud Heaven's members, Hu Mainyang had already handed over the command to Chen Hao. After all, only Chen Hao knew the true strength of Proud Heaven's members. It was reasonable for him to do so. With a 2-1 lead, the humans should be the first to enter the field. Bailey Ningbing couldn't help but feel nervous. This was the first time a human took the initiative to enter the field. Chen Hao sent out Gaolan. Obviously, it was the battle that Chen Hao wanted to give up. This time it would be her. Saintess Hu, what do you think? However, to Bailey Ningbing's surprise as well as everyone else's, Chen Hao actually looked at Hu Mainyang and said. Even Hu Mainyang was slightly stunned. After staring at Chen Hao for a few seconds, she said, "Up to you." As soon as Hu Mainyang finished speaking, she appeared on top of Broken Peak. What's the meaning of this? Zerg race Morrisis, Tyrant race Chu Feiyang, Protoss race Lu Qianye and the others frowned slightly. Obviously, they were confused by killing God Chen Hao's arrangement. Who was Hu Mainyang? She was the #1 expert with the highest recognition rate in the 10 major galaxies. She was even more famous than Tyrant race Chu Feiyang. However, Chen Hao actually let her enter the field first. This was undoubtedly too wasteful. There was no need to think too much. Maurice, who had clearly expressed that she was looking forward to fighting with Chen Hao, would definitely not choose Hu Meinyang. The other experts of the Zerg race were no match for Hu Meinyang. Under such circumstances, there was no doubt that as long as Maurice wasn't an idiot, she would let the weakest Zerg admit defeat without even entering the field. If I don't enter the field, the humans will be leading 3-1. Next, if killing God Chen Hao avoids me, he will definitely win 4 rounds. They still have Quilling Dragon Chen Xiao, Chen Shui, Chen Ling, Leng Ninghuan, Bailey Ningbing. Their overall strength is probably not worse than my Zerg contestants. Maurice thought for a moment and her face suddenly became ugly. It was only now that she realized how terrifying killing God Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven were. Boss is trying to lock in the victory, Du Jing said telepathically. Brother Pan, you have to take the initiative. Don't make it so that you don't even have a chance to enter the field. Nonsense. Senior brother, don't you know me? I might go in the next round. Don't worry, if I can't enter the field, I'll look for you. Don't worry, Brother Pan. If you take the initiative, you'll definitely be able to enter the field. Du Jing's mouth twitched. The reason why he reminded Quilling Dragon was that he was afraid that this guy wouldn't be able to vent his anger and would find trouble with him. He's avoiding me. If he wins 1 round, I'll also win 1 round. It's not a loss. As for the final outcome, as long as I arrange it properly, it's not impossible. Why should I be afraid? Maurice frowned and pondered. Her eyes flashed with sharpness as she suddenly looked at the weakest Zerg contestant. I admit defeat. The weakest Zerg contestant was extremely depressed. However, he was very straightforward. Just like everyone else, he did not even enter the field and directly admitted defeat. Hu Meinyang did not even release her aura. She just stood on Broken Peak for a few seconds and floated back. 3-1, the humans are in the lead. Boom. What? At this time, something shocking happened again. Zerg Queen Maurice actually released an extremely powerful aura and slowly rose up. Killing God Chen Hao, don't say that you don't dare to accept the challenge. Maurice looked at Chen Hao provocatively and suddenly turned into a stream of light and rushed up Broken Peak. Smart. The humans obviously want to lock in the victory. If killing God Chen Hao wanted to avoid Maurice, naturally he could easily avoid it. Maurice directly went up to challenge Chen Hao. If Chen Hao went up, as long as she could win, it would naturally be for the best. I believe that she did this because she was confident. If Chen Hao did not go up, she would also take the initiative to go up the stage and be chosen by the opponent and win a round. As long as the humans do not send Chen Hao in the next round, the Zergs will be able to tie the score. It's hard to say who will win and who will lose. The smart ones quickly saw through Chen Hao and Maurice's intentions. Very straightforward. Chen Hao smiled slightly. Boss, should we just send a random person or just send a random person? If we waste Maurice, we'll definitely win. Du Jing suddenly said. He did not hide his voice at all. Countless cultivators were speechless. What the fuck was he saying? He was really shameless to the extreme. Only the human cultivators liked Du Jing's words. They were also very clear that doing as Du Jing said was undoubtedly the best choice. However, whether it was the humans or the Zergs, they were still looking forward to killing God Chen Hao's appearance. After 200 years, you little brat are already looking down on me, your boss. Cough cough, boss, I didn't mean that. Boss, isn't it easy to win against her? It's just that if we can save energy, we will naturally save energy. Bullshit. Get lost as far as you can. Senior brother, go. Kill this bastard. Killing God Chen Hao, how can a woman provoke him? Quilling Dragon directly shouted. Well said. Boom. Chen Hao looked at Quilling Dragon and praised him. After he finished speaking, he casually glanced at Hu Meinyang. A majestic energy fluctuation erupted from his body as he directly flew towards Broken Peak. Hu Meinyang suddenly glared at Quilling Dragon and snorted coldly. Cough cough. I'm talking about Marichis. Don't be too emotional, okay? I, Quilling Dragon, am not a coward. Quilling Dragon suddenly felt the endless pressure that Hu Meinyang released towards him and said with a slightly embarrassed expression. It was impossible to be afraid. He was only afraid that if his senior brother had an affair, it would be difficult for him to clean up the mess. Therefore, when facing Hu Meinyang, Quilling Dragon couldn't even say any harsh words. He could only comfort himself with the words, a good man doesn't fight with a woman. Very good. When Morichi saw Chen Hao on the stage, his flirtatious eyes bloomed with extreme excitement. Killing God Chen Hao. Killing God Chen Hao. After his identity was exposed, Chen Hao went on the stage for the first time. His opponent was the #1 expert of the Zerg race, Morichi's. The human cultivators, whether male or female, old or young, all began to howl at the top of their lungs. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Even the cultivators of the foreign races fell into an unprecedented restlessness. Killing God Chen Hao is finally officially on the stage. After disappearing for 200 years, I wonder how strong he has become. Can he defeat Morichi's? It's hard to say. Morichi's provoked Chen Hao from the beginning. Obviously he is very confident and has many powerful trump cards. Moreover, Morichi's is an expert of the same level as Zhou Xian of the Tyrants and Hu Mainyang of the human race. Never underestimate killing God Chen Hao. Otherwise the price will be death. Trust me. The buzzing sounds of discussion were unprecedented. Since the start of the competition, no one had caused such a big commotion. Nye Fan of the Protoss race, who was still in the state of healing, Lu Qianye, who was suppressing him, Zhu Feiyang of the Tyrants race, who displayed terrifying strength, and even the leader of the human race, Hu Mainyang. At this moment they couldn't continue to remain calm. Their minds were in full bloom as they nervously locked onto Broken Peak. Everyone wanted to know what kind of combat power the killing god Chen Hao, who had been silent for 200 years, had. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.